If it
No.
What are you saying?
Whatever you're going to say, no.
No, I have the Wampus Cat. Whoever loses has to do a Wampus Cat.
What's that?
That's where you take a big Wampus Cat dip and put it in.
What?
You guys never heard of the Wampus Cat?
No.
This is where TikTok meets reality. On today's part of my take, we got our good friend Ryen Russillo. We're going to talk some NBA playoffs with him, go through all of it. We also have a special draft that you'll want to hear at the end of it. We're going to talk play-in games. We're going to preview the weekend. Awesome sports weekend coming up. We got a little Kershaw. We got a little Fyre Fest. A great, Good Friday. Like you said, it's literally a Good Friday show.
Shout out Christ.
Yeah, shout out Jesus. And we are brought to you by our friends at Game Time. NBA playoffs have arrived, and this playoff seasons we're getting our tickets with the Game Time app. We will be at the Celtics vs. Nets Monday, April 25th. You should join us. You should get the Game Time app because buying the tickets on the Game Time app is super easy and took less than a minute, and they delivered directly to our phones. Also, for the Final Four, I was able to share a ticket easily with PFT. It was that easy. So the Game Time app is the best and cheapest place to get last-minute tickets. I think we're going to do some giveaways, so download it. If you don't have the Game Time app right now, you won't be eligible for the free tickets we might be giving out soon. So download it. Also come hang with us, just buy tickets on Monday, and you'll see us, me, PFT, Hank, Liam, Frank the Tank, Spider, who's who, out at the Nets Celtics game. Download the Game Time app right now. Go to the account tab, create a login, and redeem code PMT for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Download Game Time. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Go download that Game Time app right now and use that code PMT for $20 off your first purchase. Okay, let's go. Welcome to Part of My Take, presented by the Game Time app. If you want cheap tickets, last-minute tickets, go download it right now. Redeem the code PMT for $20 off your first purchase. We'll be at the Nets Celtics game on Monday night in Brooklyn. You go to the Game Time app, buy some tickets, come join us. Use that code PMT for $20 off your first purchase. Today is Friday, April 15th, tax day, and Billy is back. Have you done your taxes, Billy? Because we just said tax day, and Billy just let out a very real oh fuck.
I thought it was due on Monday.
Yeah, no, actually, Billy's right.
Yeah,
taxes are technically due on Monday, so you have the whole weekend to do it, Billy.
So have you started your taxes?
No, absolutely not. Well, I've downloaded the documents.
Okay,
you got them right there.
So yeah,
You've been talking about them for like 2 weeks.
I know.
On Saturday, you said.
Hank,
I believe you said on Saturday, I'm doing my taxes today. I don't know if that's misquoted, but
no, the process of doing your taxes is complaining for 2 months that you have to do these taxes, and then you get around to it. So Billy's still got a couple days.
How do you think it's going to go, Mr. William Football versus the IRS? Because you did have the fight. This is the fight year.
That's really why my brain's in a pretzel.
Yeah, so maybe was that money already spent?
No, that's money put in different Roth IRAs that I thought I didn't have to touch ever,
but now you got to pay taxes.
So now I'm kind of
you don't
crazy. How
they don't
it
get
works.
Taxed when you take it out of a Roth IRA,
right? So
when you make it, you still have to.
Yeah.
I did this thing where basically I got it and then I just put it away so I could never touch it.
Smart,
but not smart when the IRS comes for it.
Freezing your credit card. You ever do that move? Back in the day, you put your credit card in a glass of water and just put it in your freezer. Just so that you just couldn't use your credit card for a weekend.
Like
when you
literally freeze it.
Yeah, literally freeze. I used to literally freeze my credit card.
You sanctioned yourself.
Yeah, when it's like, all right, I don't have money to go out this weekend. Don't even try it.
Billy, if you take a flight to the Ukraine, then you could probably write that off on your taxes.
You know what's the thing is, what's really taking me a long time is that because we live in this new world where like we work from home a lot, you can like write off anything.
What year is it?
We work here.
I know, but like sometimes we zoom in.
I see what you're saying. You work from home a lot.
You can write in
Part of your job, I don't know if people know this little peek behind the curtain. Part of Billy's job, PFT and I have mandated it. It's actually legally binding. He has to be able to squat 225 at all times.
Exactly.
So
I have a lot of like
gym.
write-offs.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can
So-
write off a certain percentage of your house.
What about
rent.
Mincy's house? Can you write his off too?
He's a dependent, so that's the big one. And then like Wi-Fi and stuff. So I have a lot of expenses to write off. That's where I kind of am trying to do my tax the best.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So-
So I feel confident in William football versus the IRS this year.
Yeah.
We're going to go get him. We have a great sports weekend, though. Let's talk about that. It's going to be – I love the first weekend of the NBA playoffs because you get 8 games back to back to back. It feels like a big event.
Starts early on Saturday.
Hank, our games are on Sunday.
Yep.
I think you're, 3:30? I'm 6:30.
Did you hear the news about Ben Simmons?
Is he back?
Looks like I was right. I think I nailed this one because Ben Simmons is coming back per
Wow.
Shams.
This
So
might be
they've just kept him on ice. They put him in a glass of water, put him in the freezer. Ben Simmons is ready to come back, and yeah, he doesn't really have to do anything. All he has to do is be out on the court on defense and then just pass the ball on offense. That's it.
this could be old takes exposed, but I think that's better for the Celtics.
It is going to be weird because there's part of Ben Simmons' skill set.
He's never played with them.
Right, he's never played with them, but he doesn't play offense regardless. I do think they are a terrible defensive team.
Training camp.
Yeah, no, it's going to be – it will be
Like
a
you
great
can't
storyline.
if they're not on the same page in like the third or fourth quarter, like you can't
It would be really funny
can't
if he's, like,
reference or like
bumping into
talk
them.
about practice like it's like
What if Ben Simmons comes back and is just wet from 3? They will be –
It would be amazing. Think about it.
Here's the best part about Ben Simmons coming back. With Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, he will be open. Like, they will leave him wide open. So watching him, I don't even know if Ben Simmons has thought about this, that, like, he's going to be standing wide open many times, and everyone's going to be like, shoot, and he won't be able to shoot. I'm not making it series of the year because the juice is too big. It's -152, which I don't feel comfortable making a game of the year on that type of price. I still think the Celtics are going to win. PFT has declared a whomping, which has to be 5 games or less.
Well, so you just declared 5 games on us. We haven't even discussed it. You don't
6
get to
is
just,
not
you don't
a
get
whomping.
to declare the intention of the whomp. I think it could be 6 games if.
That's not a whomping.
Well, wait. Let's talk about it.
Okay.
6 games. I think it could be a whomping if they blow them out in their 4 wins and then the 2 losses are close games. Like I'm talking 4 points or less.
So they have to win each game that they win by 15?
By 10.
That's
I think that's a whomping if they win 4 games by 10 and then lose 2 by 4 or less.
I think you just got to be confident in
It's
your
a-
prediction
it's
that
a gentleman-
whomping
it's
is
a
5.
Gentleman's whomp.
I think a whomping has to be 5. That's what if you see a series that goes 6, you're not like, oh man, they killed them.
Okay, let's compromise. 4 games, that's a whomp.
That's absolutely a whomp.
5 games, that's a whomp. 6 games could be a whomp if one of the losses comes in overtime. How about that?
disagree. I
One
disagree.
overtime loss. Let's compromise.
I think 6 is
Absolutely
a
not.
competitive series. Like if you see a 6-game series,
I think if I got to put my nuts on the line for a whomp, you got to put your nuts on the line for a season of the year.
it's a series of the year. It's -152. That's crazy. You can't have people paying juice like that on a series of the year bet. So I can't. You can't, because then I could just be doing game of the years -250.
Okay, 6 games if both losses go to overtime.
If both losses go to overtime and it's a 6-game series, I'll grant you whomping.
Okay, there we
you
go. That's
Hank,
the whomp.
are you okay with that?
It's got to be 15, not 10.
Well, Hank's the boss, so okay.
Okay.
So each win has to be over 15.
The point differential has to be 50 plus.
50
Total.
plus total.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
There you go. That
works.
would be a whomping. I'm very excited for these playoffs, though. And I'm selling myself back in on the Warriors. I don't know why, but I am.
They
'Cause
got
it's like
they got all the guys.
I just don't want it. I think it's going to be Suns Bucks again. I don't want it to be. I want something new, something fresh. So I think that, and I do think the Bucks are going to make it to the finals
So I'm looking forward to the Pelicans Clippers.
on Friday night.
I think
yes,
I'm actually like excited about that.
our guy CJ went blasted off in their face. Step back to freedom. 27 points in the first half. That was an electric crowd in New Orleans. Awesome scene. I agree with you. That's going to be a great game.
Jake pointed out earlier that the name, so the Smoothie King Arena obviously is where the Pelicans play. They call it the Blender. That's great.
That is great.
I liked when they the Magic when they played at Amway and you could call it the Pyramid. They didn't want us to say that one.
The in Houston, the Juice Box.
Yep.
That was good. Or no, was that Tampa?
Minute Maid.
Was it Tampa? Tampa.
Yeah, it's Tropicana Field.
Tropicana was the Juice Box. Yeah. Minute Maid was the fraud zone.
That's the
with
Astros.
Enron. Yeah. Hank, are you feeling? Give us a thought on how you're feeling.
I think, if 6 games is a whomping, I think the Celtics are going to whomp the Nets.
Oh, we got a whomp off.
Nice.
You want to put some stakes on it, Hank?
Sure.
All right, you have to get a cat.
So do you.
A cat bet? If a whomping goes either way?
I mean, you're not going to get a cat.
I think if you're doing a cat whomping bet, it has
This
to
is
be.
why we always stop the cats because I was willing to take the risk.
Yeah.
You guys were
That was,
scared.
That was the fatal flaw in the cat bet system.
If it,
No.
What are you saying?
Whatever you're going to say, no.
No, I have the Wampus cat. Whoever loses has to do a Wampus cat.
What's that?
That's where you take a big Wampus cat dip and put it in.
What?
You guys never heard of the Wampus cat?
No.
This is where TikTok meets reality.
No, I'm pretty sure.
So it's like
that's a Coach Harborough.
No, that's the horseshoe.
Right,
but the
upper
Wampus-
decker, you go all the way around.
The Wampus cat's like a full. Yeah, I'll find the video.
Yeah, I'm in.
All right, so
I hate
if
dipping.
either team whomps in a whole tin of dip in their mouth, all right, and you have to hold it for like 25 minutes.
Or you puke.
Or you puke.
I'll puke.
Okay.
Fine.
Deal. Handshake.
Has to be a whomping. So it's got to be.
You know what? I'll get it on it too because I do think the Celtics are a better team, so I'll be on your side, Hank.
All right, two.
Billy,
two
you want to
dips
be
for
on the
PFT.
net? Or Jake? Anyone? Liam? No, Liam's a Celtics fan. Jake, you want in? I want Jake in. Jake, you're
I'm
on
not dipping.
Yeah, you're on PFT's
Jake,
side.
Jake, come
Jake's
on.
on PFT's side.
Come on, Jake.
Done.
You love the
Done.
Nets.
Done.
I don't
Done.
dip either, Jake.
It's
Peer
5. It's
pressure.
not no 6-game bullshit. It's 5 games either way. It's got to be 5 games either way.
What about 6 games and then the margin of victory is 50
No,
points?
let's just go 5. A real whomp is 5 games or less. Like that's
Agreed.
Let's
All
just
right,
make
so
it
I'm
straightforward.
rooting for a split.
Yeah.
Split in Boston.
Okay, but
Or-
you're.
No.
But all right, so Jake's in on PFT's side. I love it.
Peer pressure.
I love it. Billy, you have to just do it with the loser regardless.
No, but I
Yeah.
actually it took me a really long time to quit dip. Is it
Good
cool?
for you.
Is it cool if I not?
Yeah, all right, good.
You can,
You're out,
you can
Billy.
do it with Zen. Just
Yeah.
an entire thing
Or
is
Black
in your mouth
Buffalo.
at once.
Okay. Deal.
Black Buffalo.
Deal.
No tobacco.
I really don't want to do this.
All right. Well, you're
just
in.
Root for no womps.
Yeah, root for at least 6 games.
Actually,
And you'll be good.
this is perfect for Jake because you just get to root for a good series.
Yes, you're the true journalist.
Yeah.
All right. Other series, I don't know what other series everyone's like. That's by far the marquee series
I have a substantial amount of money on the Pelicans tonight.
to
So
win
that's
to
gonna be,
get into the
yeah.
playoffs.
Now,
Yeah.
what's up with Zion doing like 360 dunks in practice?
And just looking awesome
He's
on
a
the
beast.
sidelines. His chain was so big last night. It would look so cool.
He's only 21.
Yeah.
You don't want to rush him back for
Yeah,
when
you
you're
don't.
a 9 seed.
Yeah, but I mean, if you get to the playoffs, I guess they're going to lose to the Suns anyway. This is
I
kinda-
think if they win tonight, which God willing they do, I think he might come back.
Okay, and the Cavs are going to maybe beat the Heat.
Cavs will beat the Heat.
I love it.
That's
I love
my
it.
series.
You're
of the
salty
year.
that he keep beating the Celtics in
No,
the playoffs.
No, it doesn't matter who they're playing.
No.
I'm dreading the Bucks Bulls. It's going to be painful to watch. I was actually saying, I can't remember who I said to, but if you re-ranked all 8 teams in the Eastern Conference playoffs, like current form, the Bulls might be the 8th.
The reseed of it?
Yeah, in current form,
you
they're playing that bad.
You could make a case for that. Maybe
and
maybe the Hawks.
And I say all this, and I know that once the ball is tipped, I'll be all the way in and being like, "Hey, we can win this series." But I'm down going it. The vibes are low. I'll admit it. The vibes are low.
Yeah, I mean this is not the year. It was
Yeah.
never going to be the year.
No, in January I could have
yeah,
told myself it was the
You
year.
had like 2 months where you're like, you know
Yeah.
what, this team
Watch
could make
out.
some noise.
Yeah.
I've got a series that will suck. I'm ready to predict right now.
Uh-oh.
A series that I care about the least. Jazz Mavericks.
Ooh.
That series is going to suck.
Especially if Luka's hurt.
Yeah, Luka's not going to be 100%. That's the only reason why you would watch that series with any sort of interest. If you're outside of Utah or outside of Dallas, it's going to be boring.
I have a series that I'm very interested in as well. It's Toronto-Philly, just because James Harden in the playoffs is always a great story.
Yep.
Like we could have James Harden falling on his face and Ben Simmons fucking up at the same time, which would just be beautiful.
Because then both fan bases won't know what to root for. Right?
And Twitter will be ablaze.
Yep.
It's gonna be great to watch, and then the T-Wolves. I think I'm just gonna be rooting for the T-Wolves from afar, not actually rooting, but like, hey, this is fun. I want to see Pat Beverly, who got fined, which I think actually it makes him stronger. He's like Hulk.
He's going to have the over-under for Pat Bev technical fouls this series, I want to say is probably, in my own mind, 2.5 against him. And then he's going to draw over-under 3.5 technical fouls.
He will be responsible for 6 technical fouls.
I'll put it this way. If Pat Bev can draw more techs than he himself receives, I think the Minnesota Timberwolves win this series.
Watch out. Yeah, he got a $10,000 fine for, I think, inappropriate language after the game in the press conference, but I really do think it's like the best thing that could happen to the Timberwolves. Just keeps fueling him. He's now mad at everyone still.
I went back. I looked up some of Pat Bev's history because I didn't know what his path to the NBA was.
Yeah.
He was like the best high school player in the country when he was playing. He averaged, I think, 37 points a game in Chicago. When he was coming up, he was an All-American. And
emasculated both the Jordan sons.
Yes. Yeah, dude was like a legendary scorer, gets to college, plays at Arkansas, and then there was some sort of test cheating scandal, and he didn't get drafted, mostly because he got kicked out of school or he got kicked off the team for a little bit for that. Then he went overseas and played in Eastern Europe for like 4 seasons. So he's got a big chip on his shoulder.
He's a dog.
He's a dog now. I love Pat Bev. I'm rooting for the Timberwolves. I'm officially declaring my Timberwolves bandwagon fandom for the first round.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, I'm afar. I'm like, oh, I like that team. You know how it's like you don't really have anything going in this series, but like, even though John Moran is awesome. What else should we we have some other things we got to talk about. Let's do Chevy Silverado. It's the all-new Chevy Silverado. It's almost draft day, which we will be getting into draft content very soon, having our usuals on to talk about the draft. So it's almost draft day. Everybody's got an idea what their team needs. If you're looking to give your own team a winning season, you need the new 2022 Chevy Silverado from the popular LT model all the way up to the top of the line high country. These new 2022 Chevy Silverados have a redesigned interior which gives the cabin a spacious and more premium feel. Available 3.4-inch diagonal touchscreen. Silverado also offers a 12.3-inch reconfigurable driver information center for new levels of personalization. Strap on the cleats and get off-road in Chevy's most capable off-road pickup, the first ever Silverado ZR2. Next level off-road capability right from the factory with Multimatic DSS-V dampers for more suspension travel. I don't know what that means, but it sounds badass. That's something that sounds very, very cool for your truck. It's aggressive off-road cut front bumper and large underbody skid plate. Silverado is as strong and dependable as the people who drive them. If you're a truck person, guy or girl, you got to be a Chevy Silverado person. Put some muscle on your team. Make your story a strong one in the new 2022 Chevy Silverado. What's better than football and trucks? Nothing. Chevy Silverado, 2022 Chevy Silverado. It is the best. Kershaw. That sucked.
Should have kept him in.
Baseball and I know Kershaw did like a good job afterwards of saying, "Oh, you know, I had a shortened spring training like everyone did, and I'm older." What the fuck, dude? Perfect games. There's 23 perfect games.
That's 80 pitches too.
Yeah,
80 pitches, and I mean, I don't want to compare him to Matt Stafford because that's been done once or twice before.
Or Scotty Scheffler.
But Matt Stafford pushed his trainers away so that he could stay in a game and win the game for the Detroit Lions.
To beat the Browns.
That is maybe the least consequential thing that you could possibly do in an NFL career as a quarterback. And Clayton Kershaw was like, you know what? Yeah, I'll come out of the game. This is where my like inner meathead comes into play. Where I'm like, I would fight every coach that tried to take me out of the game. You'd have to cut my throat with a razor blade. And then you'd have to take a sledgehammer out and put a stake through my heart to get that ball out of my hands.
Yeah, perfect games are probably the rarest thing in sports. It has to be statistically, right?
Fan gluing themselves to the court.
Yeah, although recently, more
the game's changed.
Yeah, right. There will be copycats. But like, I think we all agree, like no hitters are nothing. I don't care about no hitters anymore.
Right.
Like,
you know
they're
what,
cool.
You know what I like is like the platoon no hitter. I like that when teams
Yeah.
use like 6 different pitchers.
If your team has a no hitter, it's cool. Any other no hitter, don't even like wake me up for. If anyone else, it doesn't matter about your team. Anyone else has a perfect game, I'm glued in. I want to be like watching. That's cool. 23 over, like in the history of baseball. Some guys make their whole career off it.
Oh, it's amazing.
Shout out Dallas.
Yeah.
Still a friend. But yeah, that's like that's it. Like you could throw a perfect game. That's it. You're good for life. You'd be like, I did something only 22 other guys did.
It's the coolest part of when there's a Hall of Fame induction ceremony and they list a pitcher's stats and then they say perfect game April 13th, 2022.
One day I was perfect.
Yep.
And so, yeah, that sucked. We also had the Philly guy who threw, if you missed the clip, the Mets went to Philly. I think they won 2 out of 3. And a Mets fan was videotaping the last out or whatever it was. I think it was the last out. Basically, like flexed in front of all the Philly fans in the outfield. A Philly fan just didn't even flinch, grabbed the kid's phone and threw it into the outfield.
Let's go! Let's go!
I love it because I am long-standing. I love the city of Philadelphia, and I just want the city of Philadelphia to embrace who they are at all times. And I watched that move, and I was like, that guy did nothing wrong for the city of Philadelphia.
That to me tells me that person has never spent any time in Philadelphia before.
Yeah.
In Philadelphia, if you put your phone in somebody's face, it's going to get thrown.
Yes.
Or usually like maybe slapped out of your hand. That's step 1. Level 2 of Philly fandom is you just take it and you throw it onto the playing field. That move plays.
I
Philly.
loved it.
Yes.
I loved it. Like
Also, there's nothing more annoying than a person walking up to you with a camera in your face that's recording.
right.
That move is like that's assault.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, if you we talked about it a couple days ago, like the bubble that there is that you can't get into someone's face with a phone. I just love when Philly fans embrace it, and I know that in this day and age, there's been a pushback about fans being assholes. That should not apply for the city of Philadelphia. Like Philadelphia gets a pass where if you go there and you're sitting in the bleachers, you know that you might get punched in the face. You might get puked on. And if you complain about it, don't go to Philadelphia.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah, it's like the rules surrounding Harambe's cage.
Yes.
Do not approach, do not try to pet. If you do, bad things will happen.
Yeah. So
You should know that the second you enter the Philadelphia city limits, like this is I'd actually go as far to say that Philadelphia might be my number 1 sports town.
It's they Hank. Anything?
But Hank knows that's the thing is like you would never be in Philadelphia even given your extensive background and the love that you've shown for Philadelphia. You would never like take your phone out and then put it in somebody's face without the expectation that it could be chucked.
Yeah, that's true. That's fair.
You didn't like this move? You thought it was scumbag?
No, I thought it was a funny move.
It was very funny.
I respect the fuck out of it. The Mets kid was annoying.
And
Like,
he probably got his phone back.
yeah.
And he probably got a great story. And if the video was still going,
Yeah.
that's like the greatest video of all time.
But best sports town is a stretch. That's all. I'll say.
What would you say is number 1?
Sacramento.
City of Champions, Boston. 2, I mean, New York hasn't won. They're a terrible sports town. They haven't won shit. Probably L.A.
Yeah, LA's pretty good.
There's a lot of sports
high
fans
up there
in L.A.
LA's
Yeah.
big time. Big time.
Boston, L.A.,
Big time.
Jacksonville.
It's actually a great move to do that as like a Celtics fan to just say LA is a great sports town. The Lakers are the second best team in the history of the NBA because that makes all of your defeats against them look even better.
Yeah.
True.
The other thing I had was, well, Aaron Rodgers should go to jail because he tried to kill a kid, but that's whatever. Did you guys see this league between Notre Dame and LSU that's kind of simmering right now?
Brian Kelly's breaking out the big guns. I did see that Coach O went up to Notre Dame.
So it was like it was a back and forth that was kind of subtle that if you had to like really be tuned in to pick up on it. So Coach O went to Notre Dame. He said he was just visiting Indiana with his sons, of course. Who doesn't this time of year?
I would honestly believe that though.
Yeah.
From Coach O, like Coach O, his vacations are just going to different college campuses that have good football programs.
Yes, and he does have a history with Marcus Freeman. He tried to hire him last year before he got fired. But he went there. He gave a speech. He's like, you guys have the team, you have everything, you have the coaching staff to win a national title. And then I don't know, maybe it was like a little bit after that. Brian Kelly basically had an interview where he was like, the resources weren't there to like win the national title at Notre Dame. And then Notre Dame Twitter account posted a picture of the practice saying no excuses. And then Brian Polian, who is part of Brian Kelly's staff, who went from Notre Dame to LSU, tweeted out something like, LSU has the best nutritional facility in all of America, like blessed to have these type of resources. Then on top of all of that, there was a deleted Instagram story by Brian Kelly where I'll read it to you. It was a tweet. It was a screen grab of a tweet from a Pepe the Frog. What was it? Pepe the Frog?
Pepe the Frog.
Pepe the Frog, who said, everyone who's connected with sources inside the current program knows Notre Dame AD is retiring in 2 years, along with President Jenkins. Jack wanted to please the people, so he didn't search for a coach and hired Marcus. Hope he made the right choice, but I doubt it. Brian Kelly.
So Brian Kelly's amplifying that.
He shared this tweet on his Instagram story, then quickly deleted it. We need to get them scheduled. I don't know who can do that right away, but get them scheduled right now.
Yeah, Catholics versus Cajuns.
Yeah,
I mean,
boom.
sell the T-shirts right now.
Done. I just love this. It's like two football cultures that couldn't be more different.
Well, and then Brian Kelly, he's going on like a full court press in terms of his public image right now.
Right.
So there was an article that came out saying, actually, Brian Kelly's fit in really well in Louisiana. Sorry, haters.
Sure. Written by Brian Kelly.
It was like I'm always going to remember this article back in like 2014 when Greg Schiano was out of football after being fired by the Bucks. And he had, I think it was Andrew Brandt following him around, or maybe it might have been somebody else at Sports Illustrated, just being like, look what a great guy Greg Schiano is.
Yes.
Look what a good family person. He makes breakfast. These coaches, they have like a network of guys they can call up to write these glowing articles. So the article about Brian Kelly in Louisiana that's really actually how Brian Kelly usually pronounces the word family. There's nothing different about it at all.
This is like the Knicks, they had a disappointing season, and Leon Rose, who's running the whole operation, didn't talk to the media at all, and then did an interview with Mike Breen, who's the voice of the Knicks, and was like, yep, talk to the media. That's it.
Yep.
This is like our hope for Jake needs to become a true Big J, so whenever we fuck up and have a scandal, we can just be like, sit down with Jake Marsh.
Yeah.
He just lobs softballs at us and we knock him out of the park.
He's our fixer.
Yeah.
I like that, Jake. But yeah, Brian Kelly actually does have a Southern accent. He wanted to clear that up, despite the fact he was raised in New England and then coached in the Midwest forever. So clearing that up. Also, the food is not too spicy for him down there. He wanted to say that. As
It's not spicy enough.
Well, so what I've learned recently, given what you just shared with me about the Instagram story where he's taking a screenshot of a tweet. First of all, I'm shocked that Brian Kelly has Instagram.
I don't know. It was probably someone else who's running his account because it was deleted pretty quickly.
I would love to see what his Explore page looks like.
Yeah, it's.
But it's
there's
telling
no
me,
way.
it's-
Wait, you know, it'd be funny if it was just a bunch of those like 360 cam videos that he did, but just different people doing it. He's just addicted to that style of video.
So he talked about his dancing as well. He was
Yeah.
like, my dancing wasn't great. Yeah, thank you, Brian.
He lost that recruit.
But he did. But so he's more online than I ever thought that Brian Kelly would be, because not only is he doing this thing with his Instagram stories, but he's also directly addressing us, the internet, with all the things that we've said about him over the last like 3 weeks or 3 months, however long he's been down there. I still love LSU. I will always love LSU. I love the campus. I love Mike the Tiger. I love the people that go to school there. I cannot root for Brian Kelly, though.
I feel the same way.
It's going to be different this year.
LSU's the best. Like, the people are incredible. The people of Louisiana are the best. Brian Kelly's just not a likable guy to root for.
I'm still a LSU guy.
There you go.
It's my team.
You're all the way in
It's
still.
my college team.
Yeah, I mean, I still like LSU, but it's not the
even with
same.
Les, though.
It's not the same going from Coach O to Brian Kelly. It's the definition of like, you love your mom, she leaves, your new stepmom comes in.
Yeah.
And she's
got totally different rules.
Wicked witch from the West. You can't go out. Your curfew used to be midnight. Now it's 10.
I obviously didn't go to college, and
She's not
LSU was
getting
my
stuck.
favorite school.
Why is that
we visited.
obvious? Don't put yourself down.
So
like
I was
that.
a Les
You're
guy, and then
fucking-
obviously when Coach O went,
You're no different than Steve Jobs, college dropout to the fucking C-suite.
Sure.
Hank's the college version of the Trill Ballins avatar.
Yes.
I like Duke. I like LSU football.
And
Teams
You-
from Massachusetts.
UNC women's
yeah,
soccer,
Minnesota Duluth hockey.
UConn basketball.
Oh, Denver
Female.
hockey actually. Yeah, they won the title. But yeah, this whole back and forth is the best. Anything else? Anything else anyone wants to get off their chest before we get to Ryan?
I agree with Gabe Kapler. What he's saying about the unwritten rules. Did you see what he was talking
Oh,
about?
the bunt. So, yeah,
he was
go
playing.
ahead.
They're playing the Giants against the Padres, I believe, and the Giants were up 12-3, I think, in like the 8th inning.
Yep.
And they bunted to get on base.
Yep.
And the Padres flipped out about that because that's what you do in baseball. If you're getting the shit kicked out of you, then you cry about how the other team isn't winning with class. Gabe Kapler is saying, we don't follow the unwritten rules here. And his explanation actually makes a lot more sense. Like, I'm always team. I love the discussion about the unwritten rules.
Wait,
and I
he
love,
said that they don't follow it. He
Yeah.
got mad at his guy.
No, he's saying that we don't follow it because he says that if you're playing in a series against another team, you try to win the series.
Right.
So why not like try to just get as many runners on base? Why
Right.
not put as much stress on the other team as you can?
That's weird though because his instant reaction, I don't know if you saw, it looked like he went over and reprimanded the player.
He might have done that in the moment, but then in the media,
I agree with you and Gabe Kapler. Like if you don't like guys bunting up 12-3, then make a slaughter rule.
Also-
Make a slaughter rule.
I'm also just always glad to see Gabe Kapler in the news because if you haven't seen like his Instagram pictures that he puts up, this guy makes Julian Edelman's thirst traps look like they're like kids' photo day at school.
Yeah.
This guy Gabe Kapler has like a 9-pack.
He is.
It's
He's ripped.
Anytime you see a dude in their 40s with a 9-pack, that's a red flag.
Yeah.
Big red flag.
Yeah. I hate those jerseys the Giants wear, by the way. Those like I think it's new. I don't know, but it's a weird tint of orange, and it's very bizarre. They have great classic jerseys, and they messed with it, and it bothers me. I think it's maybe just an alternate, but whatever. Now I sound like an old man yelling at a cloud. All right. Anything else? Anyone else? Bill, you had a great trip to Dallas,
Indio, California.
Indio, California is
Sick.
what I was gonna say. It was.
So yeah, I was going to talk about it in my Fyre Fest
All right.
a little bit.
Let's go to Ryen Russillo then.
Perfect.
Let's do it.
Yeah, before we get to old Ryen Russillo, want to talk to you guys about our great, great friends over at Wood. Love Wood. There's no better feeling than someone associating you with a great smell. So like, oh, that guy? That's a good smelling dude. That's power. That's why you need Wood Grooming. Wood is our men's grooming line offering products across hair, body, beard, and shave. And if you want a strong, consistent smell, stock up on Wood's Golden Hour. Golden Hour has notes of smooth brandy, Madagascar vanilla, comes in deodorant, shampoo and conditioner, and body wash. Uniform your grooming, solidify your smell. The first thing I did when Wood started working with us is I just changed everything in my bathroom to Wood. It looks awesome. It's always very cool to have the same line of products across all your grooming needs. Shop Wood's Golden Hour at getwood.com. That's GETWOULD.com or at your local CVS. Now here's another great smelling man, Ryen Russillo.
All right, we now welcome on one of our favorite guests, one of our closest friends. It is Ryen Russillo, host of Dual Threat, the podcast. Go download it right now. Ryen, good to see you. We figured you're kind of like us. You don't watch a lot of NBA regular season. No. So we'll chop it up on some playoff talk. No, seriously, we appreciate you joining us because you actually do keep up with the league. Do you not like the guys who drop in for the playoffs like us? Like, I watch the Bulls, but I'm not going to pretend that I like consume constant NBA during the regular season other than the Bulls.
No, look, as I've gotten older, I don't try to find ways to tell people to enjoy stuff less. So, what's the point? Now, I'm not going to argue with you about stuff. I'm not going to be like, hey, like I don't tell people during college basketball season what's going on, because I watch the tournament and then I prep for the draft later on. So now I'm watching all this stuff going like, oh, wow, AJ Griffin is kind of nice. Yeah. Anyway, so the point is I think sometimes these last few regular seasons, there's a lot of nights where I wish I watched less.
Yeah.
Because there's certain nights you get so fired up about the schedule and then you go, wait, who's out tonight? So it's just been a weird stretch, as we all know. This is kind of like part 3, even though this is a full season. It was part 3 of an NBA season where sometimes the regular season can be very misleading. And I've been kind of on this for the last couple of years where I feel like there's never been more of a separation between what playoff teams look like and regular season teams look like. So go ahead.
Well, I was going to say right off of that, I wanted to talk about the Bucks because I feel like that's the case for it, right? Like the Bucks to me, and you can tell me if I'm way off, they've obviously had moments this year. Brooke Lopez missed some time, but they've had moments where they haven't looked like a championship team. But I always defer to if they've done it once, teams kind of know, all right, this is what it takes. Like LeBron used to do it all the time where it's like, this is what it takes, and I'm not going to kill myself in the middle of February. We're gonna for the big games we'll get up, and then when it comes time for the spring, we're ready to go, and we're still the best team in the East.
Yeah, I think Milwaukee deserves all the benefit of the doubt. I think the thing that's a little bit different is that, for me growing up, usually you saw a team after like 4 or 5 title runs, and I'm not saying 5 straight finals appearances, but at least in the conversation that towards the end is when you saw them kind of back off a little bit, where now you not only have the Bucks, which is fine, but I mean, the Atlanta Hawks halfway through the season were like, yeah, we're sort of over this. We're sort of bored. Regular season. We're like, you guys haven't done anything. Yeah. And you're actually a really good team. And they ended up finishing strong enough to, end up over 500. We'll see what happens for the real playoffs part of this. But you're just like, who do you guys think you are? Like, you're already, it's like a guy who just gets hired is like, I want to talk to you guys about my 401k and maybe changing the contribution rate on this. And you're like, dude, we haven't even made your name tag. So I get concerned about it a little bit because, it can throw off some numbers. Like, it's never been easier to score. Last season was the highest offensive efficiency season we've seen in NBA history. And this year was number 2. And part of that is the threes. But like from March on, some of the offensive rate numbers were so absurd because I think guys are just over it. Like, we have the most accomplished scorers we've ever seen. The talent dispersal, to see Anthony Edwards do some of the stuff that he does, and no one would ever say he's a top 20 player. He might end up being that, but like, it's absurd what some of these dudes can do. Some of the stuff Jordan Poole can do, and you never talk about him as like an all-star or anything like that. So the skill level is off the charts, but I don't know if it's just being tired because of a shortened, weird, disrupted bubble season into another shorter, condensed season into turning this all around, or it's the new normal, which I'm a little afraid that the new normal is that this generation of players cares less and less about the regular season, which can totally throw off your playoff stuff. Because Milwaukee, as you said, Big Cat, I mean, the last 15 games of the season, they're in negative net. They were 21st in defense. This is a team that you go, look at all these defensive options that they have, and you're like, where the hell's the defense? And maybe it's just because they know they're going to turn it on, but some teams can screw it up by thinking they're just going to turn it on. The Celtics a couple years ago, when they got smoked by the Bucks in 5 games, that team hadn't even done anything, and they're like, well, nobody will beat us in 7 games. You're like, who are you guys? Like, you don't have the right to carry yourself like that, but at least Milwaukee does.
Yeah, the switch is always an interesting thing. I just go back to, for Milwaukee, I know they're gonna sweep the Bulls. Maybe a 5-game series if DeRozan drops 50 in an efficient game. But I'm realistic about that. But I watched that stretch. I think it was maybe 2 weeks ago where they played the Nets and the Sixers both on the road, and Giannis just went supernova, and it's like, oh, yep, okay, I'm not worried about the Bucks. Like, they're a really fucking good team.
I think a lot of players don't care about defense. It's a dad take. I'm getting ahead of my dad years by squatting on that. But, a lot of players don't really care about defense as much as they used to. What team out there is the outlier, though? What team would you say, punches above their weight class defensively?
Oh, Boston. I mean, Boston was ridiculous once they figured it out. And I still think this turnaround by this Boston team, for those of us that watched it all the time, because I still watch them every game. I used to, do the broadcast for TV, studio stuff, and a bunch of my friends and family are still Celtics fans. So I told my dad at one point, I'm like, hey, no more Celtics. It's banned from our phone conversations. It's just a banned segment. I can't do it anymore. I'm so sick of watching this team. They felt like they were soft, disconnected. They couldn't figure things out. And they made some defensive adjustments. And I think a lot of the players made kind of personality adjustments as far as the way they carried themselves. So when they were locked in with Rob Williams, which, there's some speculation he could be back at some point, maybe not in the first round, that team went from what is wrong with you guys to off the charts defensively, and they cared. I think Marcus Smart cared even more so because he was having such a good season and wanted to make a push to show that he could be Defensive Player of the Year, which is hard for guards. So I would watch them certain nights going, look at their work. I mean, defense actually isn't that hard, okay? I'm not saying it's easy to be all world defensively. But if you just care enough about rotations and you give effort and you don't freelance and you close out on shooters and you recover, it's a pain in the ass. Nobody wants to do it 70 games a year. I get it. But those that do and take pride in it, or at least smart enough, like Steph Curry always gets trashed defensively. And I know, like, as soon as you say that, I go, okay, then you don't really know what you're seeing, because I'm not saying Steph is going to lock anybody down, but he always knows where he's supposed to be. Granted, he's played with a lot of the same teammates for a long time, but I'd rather have that than some super athlete that's just freelancing that has no idea what they're doing. So generally, I think over the course of the season, PFT, there's just teams that kind of mail that part of it in, but there are teams that still take pride in it, or at least players for the accolades.
What about out west? What would be the team that kind of punches above their weight out west?
Phoenix. Well, I don't know. I mean, when you say above their weight, do you mean I expect them to be bad defensively, but they're good?
No, I guess a team that has shown the effort like during the regular season. That's kind of taking pride.
Memphis is incredible. Phoenix has a lot of different things they can throw at you, and Bridges is kind of a defensive player of the year guy. The biggest thing you're looking for now is effort and then switchability. And Bridges, he plays every single game. This guy's incredible. He plays every game. He's doing the exact opposite of what everybody else wants to do. And Chris Paul's at 37, playing at all NBA level. I voted him third team.
Oh, really? That's a shock.
I know. Some people thought I'd have him first team. Don't think I could have pulled it off this year.
How did you get a vote? What was that process like?
The NBA called me and said I had a vote.
Nice. That's sick. Can we get one for Jake?
Jake Paul?
No, Jake Marsh.
Oh,
more
UVM's
famous
Jake Marsh.
Yes, UVM's,
right.
UVM zone. By the way, my perception of the defense in the NBA kind of changed a little bit after I listened to JJ Redick talk about it. He was like, everyone says that the defense sucks in the NBA. That's just couldn't be like farther from the truth. It's the shot making is so fucking good that it's just like, you think it's bad defense. It's just incredible offense a lot of the time.
Yeah, the strategies on what teams are doing defensively now too, like they change. And I think you're seeing more and more teams adopt this idea of like force it out of the best player's hands as much as possible. But that's what happened with Brooklyn last night, is they would double Durant on the catch or any kind of movement where he was like stopping to make a decision. And then he's like, all right, fine, we'll play 4-on-3 with Kyrie. The stuff Golden State used to do, they did it more before, but with Draymond, who would catch it at the free throw line, and then he's playing 4-on-3 with his passing and size to drive. Like, that was ridiculous. And that's back when he used to shoot a little bit more there. So, yeah, look, I'm not going to disagree with JJ Redick. I agree. The concepts, a lot of stuff that they do, but I think we're in this like I said, my headline would be, we're in a 3-season stretch of guys asked to do a lot. A lot of people had to do a lot all over the world because everything changed. But there's also, as Adam Silver, the commissioner, points out, like, it's a concern. It's a concern that we keep having so many players miss games. And I don't think it's a real reach to say, okay, if you have this many guys being like, it'd be awesome is to play 55, 60 games, and they're not going to be super locked in on defense all the time, even though I think that the concepts and what they do are far beyond, because they have to defend so much space. That's the whole 90s shit and comparing it now. Like, it's just, I'm sorry, man. Like, I know the paint was crowded, but think how much easier it is to defend when you're just defending less surface.
Yeah, there's
areas,
less guys. That can
right.
shoot. Right. So on the defense thing, we have a disagreement on this podcast. Hank is actually kind of in the middle. I think the Celtics are better than the Nets. PFT thinks the Nets are going to whomp the Celtics, which has to be 5 games or less. I just don't think I don't think the Nets can, like, that game, that play-in game on Tuesday night was exactly what the Nets are, where KD and Kyrie have to play perfect, and even still, they just let teams back in because they don't play defense.
I almost think like last night's game and certain games are like microcosms of what we're talking about, the bigger part of this. Like, I always have a joke with you about the Rockets and Lakers game 1 a couple years ago in the playoffs.
You lost me a lot of money.
I know, but I made you back. By the way, my tips for you, I'm over 500 with you guys. A&M, Arkansas.
Yeah, that's true, but you lost a lot of money. It was a lot of money.
All right. Well, I don't know what your unit play is, but I apologize. So,
apology not accepted.
That's fine.
Listen to the Lakers Tom Segura podcast. It should clear that up.
I thought the Lakers lost that game because they were like, "Oh, these guys suck. This is going to be easy." Right. I think teams have moments in games where they'll go, "Oh, all right, this isn't." So I think the Nets getting up 20 is more a reflection of who they are. compared to Cleveland, because I think Cleveland, despite how great of a story it is, missing Jared Allen, they're different defense. Lauri Markkanen's out there one week guarding Durant, Embiid, and DeRozan. I mean, he's like, what? I didn't sign up for this. I should have gone to San Antonio and just shot threes. So I'm scared to death of Durant. I am. I'm scared to death. There's always going to be a little lingering part of me, Celtics-wise, because I watched the same group not really get it for a really long time. But this is 3 months of them basically being the best team in the league. The Rob Williams thing, and then adding Ben Simmons, depending on what he's going to look like. And the great thing for Simmons, too, is this is the reverse of what he had in Philly. No one gives a shit in Brooklyn. You're not the number one pick. You're not the guy we tanked for. You're not the guy that was supposed to be the co-pilot with this resurgence for Embiid. You're not the guy when Embiid's struggling that has to go create his own offense. Now he doesn't have to do any of that stuff. He just has to cut off the ball when the other guys are facing more defensive attention and make dunks and layups and switch on defense and bring the ball up every now and then. Mm-hmm. So his life will be totally different. If he looks good, then yeah, I think the Celtics have some real issues because I'm scared to death of Durant. But the Celtics team, just all the stuff combined, man, it's been off the charts what this team has done.
I think it's gonna be a competitive series. I don't think the Celtics are like gonna womp the Nets. I don't think it's the reverse. KD and Kyrie have to play so many minutes, and KD actually said it I think it was like before this season, because everyone's like, if your foot was behind the line, the Nets would win the title. He's like, dude, I was gassed. Like, I had to play so many fucking minutes for this team, and you even see it now in April. Both these guys had to play more than 40 minutes. I looked it up. They, besides Fred VanVleet and Siakam, and then OKC, who was playing like 6 guys down the stretch, Kyrie and KD have the most minutes of anyone in the. I know Kyrie missed a bunch, but like if this is a 7-game series, and they're playing 44 minutes a game, and then the 7th game is in Boston, I don't know. I just think that's. I just would take a team that can get a defensive stop.
Kyrie is fresh though. He's the freshest that
he's been bad.
He's going to go stomp. He's going to go stomp on Lucky's little face. Do you think he's going to do that again? Do you think he's going to break out the logo stomp?
He'll do something. I mean, it sucks because somebody's probably going to say something to him. I mean, and I don't think that's a reflection of the city, even though that's what it'll get turned into. Like stuff happens in Boston where I'm like, okay, maybe I sound sensitive about it because I'm from there. I just think that certain things happen where you're like, oh, that's only that city, and you're like, no, there's assholes everywhere. So I'm a little worried about that part of it, because I also don't think Kyrie can say one thing but then he'll do the other. So I'm not going to predict, but I would imagine in a hotly contested series. And the other thing too is Boston hates him more. They don't care about the Lucky part. This isn't about history. It's about a guy that sat there under the microphone before his last season started and said, I'll come back if you'll have me.
Right.
When he never was coming back. Like, I have one guy that knew it the entire time, but you never know. And I'm not a reporter, but he goes, do not believe anything. He is fucking gone. He's gone. He's not coming back to Boston. And I think even Boston thought he was coming back because he was telling everybody he was coming back. So, I know that people point to like the water bottle being thrown and him stomping on Lucky. Like, he's got some shit in there because he's sick of hearing about it, but he's the one that fucking started the whole thing. It's not even debatable.
I completely understand why Celtics fans have had it up to here with Kyrie. I get that entirely. I just think it's funny that like the whole story got reported as a controversy because he walked on the cartoon logo at half court, which obviously is ignoring, like you said, like most of the situation that's around it. I just like reducing everything to their stupidest element and then making that mean something that it doesn't. You know this game, Ryan. That's how it's done.
Do you think they'll cover up the logo?
Yeah, they got to.
Yeah,
they have to.
They got to put. All they have to do is just put cones around it.
Yeah.
People just, if you see cones, people respect cones. They're like, oh, better stay away from there.
Yeah.
You know what you should do? You guys should launch a T-shirt where it's just the center of the court with no logo.
That would be good.
Actually, Coley sent me something that he's thinking about putting up, which is it's the "Don't Tread on Me," the Gadsden flag thing, except the snake is like colored green with shamrocks on it, and it's got the leprechaun hat and the pipe, and it's spinning a basketball and it's rattle. It's actually a pretty fire shirt. I would like to get that up on sale.
Wow, that does sound fire. It's going to be tie-dye?
Let me ask you one last question about this series. I know obviously, I get it. Kevin Durant's the best scorer in the NBA, but is there a chance, like, you watch it every night, could Jason Tatum go toe-to-toe with Kevin Durant? Because I think that's getting lost. Like, it's KD and Kyrie, and obviously people are scared of the Nets because the Nets are not a typical 7 seed, but Jason Tatum's pretty damn good too.
Yeah, he's nuts. I mean, this is why, like, all right, I'm going to use a bigger thing here, and we can relate it to your Bulls even. And it's the Lamar Jackson thing. Like, I've heard over and over again that, like, we're unfair to Lamar Jackson because we changed the way that we critique him. And I'm like, I don't think it's that. I think you win an MVP, and now guess what? Because you won an MVP, now we're going to talk about you with the other guys like Mahomes, like Allen, like, Herbert, who doesn't have the accolades, but if you win an MVP, now you get thrown into this group of all the top quarterbacks, and this is how we're going to. And I don't know, I'm even leaving guys out, right? That's not moving the goalpost of Lamar Jackson. It's the same thing with the Chicago Bulls. Chicago Bulls, it's just some ridiculous story. Like, wow, look how good they are. Like, all of us thought the DeRozan contract was too long, and it still might be. Who knows? But he was fantastic this season. They gave up a lot for Vooch. That's debatable. But they just started spending money and bringing people in. And instead of fighting for a 10 seed, the Bulls were like, hey, we're not title contenders, but let's go. But then they have this absurd record. They're defending great. Everything's working out. DeRozan's getting MVP buzz, which was stupid, but whatever. It was fun for a week. And then it's like, okay, well, now I compare you to the best version of Milwaukee, a healthy Brooklyn,
Right.
Miami, Philly. And it's like, I don't know that I like you in that matchup. And then Bulls, reputable Bulls players, I'll tell you, Dan. We're like, well, I can't believe you. It's like, what do you mean? No, I'm judging you now based on the neighborhood that you're in. So bringing it back to Tatum, I love Tatum at Duke. All right, I've got receipts on this. I thought he should have been number one. And when Ainge made the trade, I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. Like, they're actually going to do it, because I felt like everybody had just written it off. No, it's Fultz, it's Ball, and then it's Tatum. And I'm like, God, I think Tatum might have the highest ceiling of all of these guys. But again, Fultz dealt with the injuries. So when Tatum's coming up and he's taking LeBron and the Cavs team that wasn't very good, and it was a pretty bad East, 7 games, and they're at home, and that's without Kyrie, I'm like, what can this guy be, right? So I'm harder on Tatum than I am Jaylen Brown, because I didn't have the same expectations for Jaylen Brown, even though his story is incredible. So with Tatum, you're like, is he going to figure this out? And he hadn't for the longest time. Back to the defensive strategy, double him, get the ball out of his hands and see what happens. He didn't do a great job with it. And they also didn't have very good personnel to give him a relief valve. Dennis Schroeder isoing, Josh Richardson, inconsistent offensively. And then Jalen sort of left to come up with his own thing, or Marcus was going to chuck a 3 up. And in this turnaround, Tatum has figured out everything. Like, there's certain plays that I see now, I'm going, oh, he sees what's happening now because he's had it happen to him all season. So now they're really nasty because Tatum, like, the best players can do all the best shit. I get it. But the best players are the ones that understand still the right basketball play, which I still think as an audience we struggle with, because we're all Kobe'd and MJ'd out, that we're like, no, you're a loser if you didn't take the shot.
Right.
You're like, no, that's not really always the case. And I think Tatum's added that part to his game and can still go off for 40 in a playoff game. So you're right to expect that Tatum maybe hangs punch for punch with Durant. I think he's still a sliver below Durant, but that's not saying much to say you're just behind who I think is still the best offensive option in the NBA.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What about the Sixers-Raptors series? To me, that's an interesting one, because people are going to be talking a lot about the coaches. One guy that's been pretty good in the postseason. One guy that has left a little bit to be desired, shall we say, recently.
Yeah, look, I love Doc, but he's got 3 of the all-timers on his resume, and they're tough.
Yeah,
they're tough
no, all-timers. He's like 3 of the 5
terrible.
biggest collapses on his resume.
The Clippers Houston one sucked for me for a long time as a Chris Paul guy. He's got the other Clippers one to Denver not that long ago, and then I still can't believe they lost to Atlanta. Like, as bad as it was all going, go back and look at those games. I think they blew 3 19-point leads or something ridiculous like that. So, yeah, that's Nick Nurse is. If you ask people around the league, more people are going to tell you I'd rather have Nick Nurse as coach than Doc. But the Sixers are also 1-3 against Toronto. And Philly fans can point out that, hey, Joel played 3 of those games. They only had Harden for 2. Thibel's going to miss some more. He only played 2 of them. But Fred VanVleet only played 1. OG missed 3 as well. I think Siakam missed a game as well. And even Scotty Barnes missed one of those games. The last time we watched them play without VanVleet and OG in a full Sixer squad, I think for the most part, it looked bad for Philly. Now, maybe Embiid beats up on that front line and that carries him through it, but there's something numbers-wise that I brought up that's worth paying attention to. Is Philly, since the Harden trade, is the worst defensive team transition-wise in the NBA. They're giving up 65% field goal percentage in transition. And it's because Harden doesn't care. He just is like, remember you get yelled at in like youth basketball, not getting back? No one ever yelled at Harden, apparently.
and more so on the defense, Tybals their second best defender, and he's not going to play in Toronto.
Yeah, he's their best perimeter defender. Some of the stuff he does as a perimeter defender, I absolutely love. And it's funny that the Kyrie story shifted to Thibault really quick. It's like, yeah, we don't care about him as much because just not as good.
Right.
It's just the way it works. This one is really tough to figure because even though some of the offensive numbers with Harden and Embiid, like that pairing is in Philadelphia, I think one of the 5 best offensive pairings and all this different kind of stuff. I don't think Harden, a guy who I didn't like in his prime in playoff spots, because he's got about a 10-game resume. Like, what the fuck was happening here with you? And now he's slower. He doesn't finish at the rim as well. There'll be a playoff game where the crew just decides he's not going to get the free throws, even though his free throw averages per game in the playoffs and regular season are actually pretty close for his career. I thought there was a time where, there'd be a certain game with Harden and be like, oh, tonight they're just not going to let it happen, where in the regular season I don't think that happens as much. So there's a lot of stuff here that favors Toronto, but it's also a huge problem because it's Precious Achua and Kem Birch in the front line against Embiid. So
Right, and now eat him
we'll
up.
see.
Right.
Is there anything at all that points to James Harden being able to turn it on for the playoffs? Like anything in his entire career, anything just like in a microcosm this season about how he's been playing recently? Is there any reason at all to believe that he's not going to go out there and do what James Harden does in the playoffs?
Look, this hamstring injury's gone on like, a year and a half. So
It's pretty bad.
I'm
and when he
I'm
first
pick-
got to
I'm picking up a vibe that you might not be a James Harden guy.
Hamstrings are tricky, though, Ryan. They really are. Like, you ask any professional sprinter or a wide receiver. Deshaun Jackson's been dealing with a hamstring for like 11 years.
His whole career, yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, hell, if you're not ready that first softball night, you see guys blow them out left and right.
Yeah. But, like, it just seems almost too easy to be like, this team, as much as I like Joel Embiid, this team is, like, prime for another big disappointment.
Yeah, I love Embiid. Love him. And yet, I was so happy that he had a shooting option off of him in the 2-man game that he didn't have with Simmons. Like, Simmons and the Embiid pairings, that just kind of like fundamentally flawed. Be like, hey, I'm one of the last remaining post guys that can destroy people on the block. All right, let's get the worst shooting threat ever to be passing it to you. So I felt good about this trade in the sense that both teams got rid of something that wasn't working. Simmons not playing and then Harden quitting on his second team in 13 months. So look, sure, there's part of me that knows Harden's going to go off. I mean, he's still got the ball enough. He's still talented enough. His passing is terrific. That in-between lob and floater game is brutal. It's really hard, but the numbers are worse. And yeah, I have a problem. I have a problem with anyone who's a professional athlete who is okay deciding that they're just not going to be competitive twice in a year because they don't like their situation. Like, I think there's something wrong with you. And I'm not even meaning just Harden here, but if you're okay sucking on purpose and having it happen that many times in a very short span, then why would I bet on your personality when everything's tense and it matters and it's the last minute? Why would I bet on your personality thriving in that situation when you've been totally okay quitting on other ones? And that's why I love Giannis so much, because Giannis is like, fuck this, let's go. And he goes at everybody. And even though it's not perfect offensively, even though it's hard to make that statement now after what he did in the finals, but I just know with him, he's never going to be afraid. Like, he may miss, but he's never going to be afraid. And there's some other stars in this league that I don't think are totally wired for that moment.
I would rather have a guy just be like, almost honestly, like, I don't care. Like a guy that will just tell you, you know what? I'm collecting a paycheck. They're paying me very well. I really don't care to push myself that hard. It's just not in my DNA. I'm doing okay. I'd rather have that guy.
You want to max that guy out? You'd rather max him out than what?
In a way, I would rather max that guy out than have a guy that, like, comes in saying, I'm going to try, I'm going to give it my all, and, like, the first thing that goes wrong for him, he's like, fuck this. Because that guy, at least I know what I'm getting with the first guy.
I think I'm still confused. Do you have another sport analogy that you can give me?
I'm trying to think if I can do like a Colin Cowherd.
Right.
Okay, so if
America's Cup,
my first wife, if you were to have your first wife, I'd rather have her making $75,000 a year than marrying up, and her dad is rich, but then she gets busted for tax evasion. You want the first option. Consistency's
key.
So
you just want. Here's a sidebar. If a woman did a Cam Newton interview and said, I don't want to marry anybody that can't provide for himself, how would that have gone over?
Dude, the Cam Newton interview was so funny because I saw it trending And I was like, oh, he stepped in this. And then I was like, oh, fuck, that's Wallow and Gilly. Shit, we're in it again. Like, Barstool can't stay away from it.
They were just.
Yeah, it was a Barstool podcast. I was like, I saw it, and I was like, oh, this is going to be funny. Everyone's going to roast Cam Newton. I was like, oh, fuck.
They were just like staring at him like, I don't believe that he's actually saying all these things.
Yeah, but
Okay, I know. And by the way, I'm not defending it or anything like that. I'm pointing simply to like, all right, Cam Newton said some dumb shit, and now everybody's going to lay into him. But I don't think you'd be allowed to be like, I can't believe that woman said that she needs her man to provide.
Right. It'd be a different conversation. Yes, absolutely. Have you, very important question, have you decided what your spin zone is going to be when Chris Paul gets injured somewhere in the middle of the second round this year?
Yeah, I'm ready for it. I mean, he's hurt. He was hurt in the finals last year, got surgery, kept it quiet, doesn't make excuses. I make those for him.
Oh, nice. So pre-hurt.
I mean,
you're going pre-hurt.
Yeah, pre-hurt.
Which is kind of his whole career, but yeah.
No, it's not great. It's not great. I don't have a counter to any of that stuff. I mean, I just always hate when it's like ESPN will put up the graphic and they'll be like, look at all these Chris Paul exits or what happened here or there. I'm like, he wasn't playing in the game. Like, you guys are holding this against him and he's not in there.
That's part of being great.
You got it, Ryan.
No.
You got to pull a big cat and you got to print up a fact sheet.
Yeah.
And take it around with you. But like, instead of anti-Coach K stuff, like reminders of, hey, Chris Paul actually didn't play that series that you think that he choked away.
Pro Chris Paul.
That would be a great podcast idea. Just call it Fact Sheet, and it's 20 minutes long, and whoever's the most absurd supporter or I guess criticizer, I don't even know if that'd be the right word. So whatever it is you get your floor to lay it all out for your point, and then maybe a little 5 minutes of back and forth and whatever.
I think
I have a question
maybe
for
you
you.
could have Stephen A.
First
Smith
take,
and Skip Bayless do it.
You just invented First Take.
No, but you have to be like, all right,
I thought I was going crazy when he was. I was like, that's a great idea.
One guy, so like, there's the white guy would say he hates LeBron and calls him LaFraud, and then
No. What I mean is, like, you find the guy, like, who's the guy that thinks this more so than anybody else.
Yeah, you'd be the Chris Paul defender, right?
I'd be a Chris Paul guy,
and we would shut you down easily because we'd just be like, he's injured and he has no rings.
That's right. He has no rings, so that means he sucks.
There you go.
He sucks, dude.
I want to support you in the Chris Paul thing, but like, you have to admit that if he doesn't win a title this year, like the bust word has to come out.
I would say you could.
Bust?
Even, you could
that
even say.
I mean, he came out of college. He was supposed to be the savior.
You could say his whole career was a waste. He would have he probably would have had a better career as a lawyer.
Another sport, or not even a sport.
Yeah. Insurance salesman.
Yeah, he should have done that. You're his father, right? In your little weird hypothetical world.
I think he would have been a great debt collector.
There you go. Yeah, and probably wouldn't have been injured as much.
It's a lot safer, maybe. I don't know, though. Maybe he'd be looking for confrontation. Imagine that guy harassing you for student loans.
It's the final piece, though. If he does get a title, it's like your entire career is vindicated. I'm not talking about Chris Paul. I'm talking about your career.
And also,
there's more at stake for me than it is Chris Paul.
Oh, absolutely.
He understands that.
And just so you know, if he does win one, we're just going to be like, one?
Yeah, and you can play, and Booker will score the most, so you can say like Booker carried him, even though Booker was in 0 playoff games before he showed up at the Phoenix Suns. I think my biggest Chris Paul win will be. Oh wait, was that an incredible?
You do walk around with this fact sheet in your head. You should print it up.
If Paul gets one, I think it puts him in the rarefied air of like he's like Chauncey Billups.
Yeah, he's like a lesser version of. He's like a junkyard Dirk.
No, that's cool. You get OKC to a 7th game in the first round, which I think is better than a ring in a way.
Yeah, that is true.
Many people say that.
Here's my victory lap on the Chris Paul thing that's already happened. Is that there used to be a Westbrook Chris Paul debate. There used to be a Darren Williams Chris Paul debate, and that lasted a very short amount of time. And then it was weird once he wasn't with Utah anymore. Jazz fans were like, "Yeah, maybe Chris Paul's better now," which happens far too often. And then there was a Westbrook one where I remember some Oklahoma City blog was trying to say that I was only saying Paul was better than Westbrook because I needed clicks and attention. You're like, hey, man, I'm fucking national, all right? National radio show over here. So I just never forget that. And I feel like the greatest thing that ever happened to Thunder fans was that they lived with Westbrook thinking they knew what was going on and they thought they knew what was right. And then they got Chris Paul for a year and they were like, holy shit, this is how you play the position.
Yeah.
And I saw some of the top 75 stuff going around. I forget who had a vote or who didn't, but it was out there.
Jake
but I
did.
think even Kendrick Perkins had Westbrook ranked ahead of Chris Paul like all time. And you just go, like, we're still here. This is still a debate. And now Westbrook's about to be on his 5th team in 5 years for a Hall of Famer.
Well,
And
hold
like,
on.
So the no ring thing, I'll finish right here. All of the individual battles that Chris Paul and all the arguments that used to happen, he's smoked everybody in all of those. He just has. And it just, now he's not allowed to be. It'll be funny if he does win this year, because then guys will be like, oh, I guess he's good now. Like, oh, yeah, 15 years later.
Yeah, no, I won't even concede. Some
people will be like, yes, he's done enough to please me.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chris Paul, for making me like you.
It's also just one of those fun ones where it's like, obviously, maybe we'll cut this part. Like, Chris Paul's incredible top 5 point guard of all time, all these things. But it's so much more fun to just be like, no rings, injured. You guys pick those guys. Yeah, well, I don't hate them. I don't even hate them. I just think it's fun. To just diminish someone's entire career to rings. It's
You like to diminish things.
It's so stupid. It makes no sense. I know when we say it, it's the dumbest form of argument that you can make. And like, it's actually made sports less fun overall, but there are certain guys where it's just fun to do.
What? Phrasing.
It is. Like, my favorite is it's not in basketball. It's in like baseball or football. If you take like an offensive line, like Joe Thomas kind of sucked. He never made the playoffs.
Mike Trout never made the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, he's a fucking.
See, you're
bum.
laughing.
Okay.
You're laughing because it's fun.
Who are your individual Chris Pauls?
Oh, that we defend?
Yeah.
Carson
Brian-
Wentz now.
I was gonna say Brian Butch.
Carson Wentz. He got 2 MVP votes in 2017. He's the best quarterback in the history of the NFL in 73-degree weather, and he's Mr. October. Indoors.
There you go.
Outdoors. Mr. October.
Outdoors.
I was on the take early that Matthew Stafford's going to be a Hall of Famer, just because I remember like 3 or 4 years ago I looked at his numbers and his durability, and I was like, if this dude wins anything, like, it's going to be open and shut because his numbers are going to be right up there. So I feel a little vindicated by that.
Mine, and this is kind of an easy one for me, is Scotty Reynolds would have been a game-changing NBA point guard. And it's perfect because I never have to actually go through the scenario where he is, because he's never going to play in the NBA.
Just ahead of his time.
But he won everywhere in college. And his freshman year, I went to high school with him. I was a senior when he was a freshman. And I said, the first game I saw, I was like, this kid's going to be a superstar.
Damn,
and so
eye for talent.
it's mostly about me making myself feel good about being right about something.
I think Tyus Thomas still could be a Hall of Famer.
I have not given up on Tyus Thomas.
He could jump out of the gym.
I would be genuinely excited if the Commanders signed Mike Williams, the receiver from the Lions back in like 2005, the guy that went to USC. You remember him?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love that guy. I mean,
physical freak.
He was filthy. That catch at the back of the end zone for USC, I love him. But I mean, that's the stuff that you don't really know. I mean, this gets all back to the draft stuff. But I mean, people get married. You think you'd have your evaluations in check on that one. It doesn't work out half the time, right? So fucking wide receivers.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? So, sometimes you get a guy in the building and you go, oh, this isn't going to work out. Remember Charles Rogers, Michigan State?
Yeah.
I mean, he was even better than Mike Williams.
Yeah.
I mean, you're like, how does that guy not work out? And then there's just other stuff. And it's like Tyus Thomas, it was like, would he have been better now? Do the Bulls sign him now in basketball?
Dude, he's got he would be, if you put him in any draft, everyone would fall in love with him every time. Because he was that springy.
It was just so different.
It was so good.
I was total name drop here. I was flying to Portsmouth, Virginia, which used to be it still goes on, the Portsmouth Invitational. You guys should do a remote from there sometime. And I would go because you get to meet all the GMs and scouts because nobody went other than the locals. You were in a high school gym watching all of these picks that might not even go in the second round. But the big thing was you just sit there and gossip and talk about stuff. And I remember being like, Tyus Thomas is going to go that high? And he was like, yes. He goes, he can handle. He's 6'10". He's got the bounce. All he needs to do is figure out all the other stuff. And it was like, yeah, so he has like 7 things he has to get better at.
The other stuff for Tyus Thomas was a lot of stuff.
Was everything?
It was all the things.
It's basketball. You talked
a
about
lot of stuff.
Talked about a lot of cool stuff that you can do with your body, but then there's also a game called basketball that you have to be good
No,
at.
I have kind of a Tyrus Thomas, Stromile Swift, two LSU guys.
Yeah.
A Marquise Chris rule, who's actually, he's in the league again. I have this rule now when I'm getting ready for the draft where I go, okay, there's a lot of stuff that's really fun. Is he good at basketball?
Yeah.
It's a question I ask myself. Can I ask a follow-up to PFT, though?
Yeah.
What was high school PFT like?
High school PFT, I don't think you're ready to know.
That's a whole other podcast.
That's the whole thing. That was my brother, actually.
That's a whole other podcast we can get into.
Yeah, that was
Life Advice 3.
Yeah, well, yeah, we can go back to high school, do a little flashback that way.
I don't know. I don't have much in the tank after that last one.
That last one went very, very long. I always judge it by Hank basically being like, all right, guys, you got to do something. When he does the fake, he does the wrap up or he goes to the bathroom, it's like, okay, maybe we should. By the way, the other one that I was just popped in my head.
It's a nice couch, so I can see why it went long. And we finished strong, but I thought we had about a 25-minute lull in that one.
Yeah, we did.
Like, are we done? Because I can still get us a table in town.
Next time, I need you to wear even smaller shorts than you did the last time.
Honestly, the video, I was grossed out by myself, so I apologize to you and your listeners.
No, that's fine. They loved it. They
No, it was a lot because they started working up the last 2 hours, and I was like,
hyped up. I
what are we trying to do?
I still think Starlin Castro could hit 3,000 hits. That one was a bad one for me. He had the numbers, man, and he also was very young.
Very toolsy. Toolsy.
But I don't think that's going to happen. But all right, so let's go back to NBA.
I just remembered one more. It is an NBA thing. I think that the late when was that, 2010, 2011, 2012, the Brandon Roy Blazers.
Oh yeah,
remember that team?
Oh yeah,
that's the greatest dynasty that never was.
Look, Brandon Roy could go. He was awesome. It was a couple years before that. But when he was putting up some numbers you go for a month to 2 month stretch, you go, nobody can do anything with this guy right now. But the reason why he went when he went is he was somebody it's crazy. And this is the part of the job I appreciate the most, the people that, I've known a long time, but there will be medical stuff where teams will, I don't say it. If I hear from a team, you're like, hey, this guy's red flag city. I don't say anything. It's not my job. I'm not a reporter. We're just talking. And I'd never want to hurt a kid's stock, even though this stuff kind of gets out there anyway. Right. But the two biggest medical red flags that I got from a team once were Michael Porter Jr.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, his spine was dust.
Right. When Michael Porter Jr. is putting up the numbers, he has these 6'10", hitting these jumpers that look like, are there 5 guys in the league that can do what he does at his size? And I don't know. And then he finds a way through it long enough to get maxed a year ahead of time, which then you didn't have to do it that way. But if you like the guy, you kind of do it. It's the opposite of what Robert Sarver does in Phoenix. But then you're sitting there going, oh, this is why he went when he went, because of the flags. And Malcolm Brogdon was another one. You're like, how can this guy go in the second round? It's like, well, we're just bloggers or, talk show hosts. I mean, obviously, I know you guys don't blog anymore. I have a pen name for a different one, but it's mostly political. You go, well, this is part. This is right.
This start a firestorm trying to find that one.
This is all part of it. They don't get, and that's kind of back to your Brandon Roy point. Is that guys knew, they were like, I'm not quite sure how long his knees are going to last, and they were right, because when he was good, he was terrific. But I know that was a super long Brandon Roy answer, so we'll keep it moving.
No, it's sometimes fun just to remember guys that that dude would have been awesome.
Yeah. No, he's definitely at the top of that list.
Going to get back to Ryan in a second, but before we do, Coors Light is back. It's springtime. The mountains are blue. When the mountains turn blue, it's time to crack open an ice-cold Coors Light and then go to the Barstool Sports store to get the latest merch from the official Part of My Take. You know what? I'm going to put this ad read down. I'm just going to talk about
go off,
these
King.
shirts that we have. Billy kind of designed a shirt. You designed the Mountains Are Blue emoji line of, it's really a lifestyle brand.
Yeah. I just one day put the emoji of the mountain and then the R register logo and then just a blue square.
Mm-hmm.
Mountains are blue.
And it works. And we've got these cool new shirts from Coors Light. We've got a couple different styles. One featuring Billy's Mountains Are Blue proprietary logo, and the other that features the Part of My Take logo with the mountains and me and Big Cat chugging Coors Light on it. We love Coors Light. It's our favorite beer here at Part of My Take. It's the only beer that I drink. If they have Coors Light wherever I am, that's the beer that I'm choosing. There's no second place. Coors Light's number one. We love Coors Light. Go check out the new shirts, barstoolsports.com. Actually, go to store.barstoolsports.com and then search Coors to find them. You can find them on our social media too. I think we put them up there. Great shirts, great merchandise. Our friends over at Coors Light are making it all happen this summer. You like that? That's kind of a cool thing to say.
Yes.
They're making it all happen over at Coors Light. Now, back to Ryen Russillo.
All right, is it the Suns though? I mean, it's going to be the Suns. They are the best team by far and away. The East to me, I wouldn't be shocked. All right, here, let's do it this way. Rank this statement. The East, I wouldn't be shocked if 3 teams went to the finals. And I count, no, 4 teams, sorry. The Heat, the Celtics, the Bucks, and the Nets. I wouldn't be shocked. Those 4 teams. The West, I would kind of be shocked if it was anyone but the Suns. Not saying maybe the Warriors throw in there, but it just feels like the West has a lot of really fun players and a really fun stories, but it's the Suns are leaps and bounds ahead of everyone else.
I know that when I was younger and I would talk sports, I would say stuff like, are you fucking kidding me? Brian Rose is definitely a 1, at worst a 2 in the Sox rotation. That's before your time. Maybe Hank won't even get that one. But
Hank's
then I remember,
Hank's in a meeting. He's a fucking suit
right
now.
So when I went and I first started working in Boston, and because Bob Ryan's the best, like Bob Ryan, you could just stop and be like, hey, ask him a basketball question, and he would like sincerely talk to you for as long as it took him to talk to you. Like, it was incredible. And I remember asking Bob Ryan, I'm like, oh, this team sucks, like whatever. And he'd be like, I don't know. I'm like, what do you mean you don't know? Like, you've been doing this 30 years. And that was the whole point, is you get older and you do this long enough, you have more of an open mind about all of it, because when you're young, you don't know how wrong you are most of the time, and you're convinced you're right. So I have a harder time now, like narrowing the field, because I've just seen so many times in sports something happen differently. Having said all that, Phoenix's profile is insane. They're 32-9 in the clutch. Their road record is better than anybody else's record. Their clutch efficiency is double that of Milwaukee's, which is just an absurd number. They're better than they were last year. They didn't have any bigs, any other options besides Ayton. And I would say, whatever, they had Saric, but that wasn't really a great option. They added 2. They have more shooting. They have more ball handlers. Bridges is better. Paul should be rested at this point. Maybe that's the best thing, that he did get hurt and missed a bunch of time, already planting the seed of why he might not get hurt with this. And, Ayton gives you a viable big against the other big matchups that you may run into, even if he's not perfect. And Booker's taking it up a notch too. So I don't see how anybody beats them. I just don't. I mean, there's part of me that thought Golden State was starting to figure some things out. They had a nice couple wins. They smashed Milwaukee at home. Steph was getting going. Clay was coming back. Draymond was coming back. But Draymond, Steph, and Clay played 11 minutes together this season. But right before Curry gets rolled by Smart, that derailed everything. So, there's always going to be a part of me that respects Golden State so much, but that's asking a lot for now of it all to come together. And if they make it to the Western Conference Finals, come together against a team like Phoenix, who's even better than they were last year. And if Paul doesn't get hurt, I know, here we go again. Maybe that series plays out a little bit differently, especially at the end of Game 4. So, and maybe they're even more motivated. The analogy I made this week on my podcast is, remember how mad San Antonio was all year long after they lost in the Ray Allen shot, lost that game and then lose the series? Like, that was a driving force, single-mindedness. Let's get back there and kick their ass. And that's exactly what they did. Phoenix's loss to Milwaukee wasn't as dramatic or, haunting as I imagine, but that part of it, the Memphis thing is great, but it'd be the youngest team to ever be in the NBA Finals. Dallas is one guy and he might be hurt. Denver's one guy and they're even worse and they don't defend. Nobody likes Utah anymore.
I love, by the way, the Utah. Shout out Quinn Snyder when the story came out that Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert didn't get along, and he was like, "I see them eating lunch together sometimes," and I was like, "Yeah, that sounded good." Like, I don't think he might have been. Maybe I'll give Quinn Snyder more credit, where he did the thing where he's going to make a quote that becomes a story instead of the actual story. But him saying that, I was like, that they have lunch sometimes. That doesn't sound very like they're that tight.
Ryan, you're plugged in. Was Quinn Snyder ever discussed to go back to Duke?
No, Quinn Snyder's been talked about potentially the Lakers or Spurs.
Oh, that would.
It's just gossipy stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll happen or not. But if Utah gets bounced earlier, it's a disappointing exit. I think they'd shake it up, but they better get in front of the Donovan Mitchell thing, because I think everybody, and again, these are gossipy NBA circles, so I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if you placed money on who gets talked about as the next star, because that's what the league is. Every 6 months, one of these really great players gets pissed off and they get their way. And now what they're doing is they're not going, hey, let me go shorter deals so I can press the issue with leverage and free agency. They're like, no, I'll just take the fucking max and then I'll ask for a trade. I don't give a shit.
Smart.
You know, it's totally different. It's different in a very short amount of time. So I think Utah could make some changes if they're disappointed again here, because, you know, Ainge comes in. I feel bad for Zanuck, general manager, who I think is terrific, but you know, it hasn't always been easy. And he was terrific in Milwaukee, and then they replaced him, and you know, it was kind of weird, but it worked out for Milwaukee, so whatever. But I've heard Quinn stuff, but I don't know what's going on with the Lakers. What I do love about the Lakers thing, though.
Oh, I heard. Yeah, but yeah, before you do your Lakers rant, I heard that LeBron actually didn't want Russ. He wanted DeRozan the whole time. That's what I heard.
Yeah, Magic
and Caruso. He wanted Caruso to stay.
Yeah.
And Steph.
I think we're so numb to the Magic Johnson appearances that we almost are desensitized to realizing how fucked up they are. Like, can you imagine another city, right? Another city where you have this legendary, like, imagine if Michael Jordan just said, I'm going to go, like, wasn't involved with the Hornets or anything like that, but just was hanging out in Chicago all the time. And then every 6 months went on First Take and was like, Billy Donovan fucking sucks.
I would have done everything differently. Yeah, just making up hypothetical. I would have signed this guy, this guy, knowing that no one's gonna be like, "Hey, dude, that doesn't work for the cap."
Right, and I've had a host in that spot where you're kind of like, "Is this guy wrong?" And it's Magic Johnson. You kind of let him go. So I don't know if Greeny's gonna go. That doesn't work under the cap, and you actually couldn't have done that. And then I remember I talked to somebody pretty quickly after, because I was double checking. I go, hey, when Magic was talking about the DeRozan thing, I'm like, all the Lakers had, other than the other like more creative stuff, was a 5.9 mid-level taxpayer exemption. And the guy I talked to was like, DeRozan wasn't signing anywhere for less than 20 mil. Like, he just wasn't. He just wasn't. There were other options. And Magic is like, again, it's the equivalent of like, we had Giannis one on my board. It's like, it just goes on. And you know, Magic also, when they got rid of D'Antoni and they brought in Byron Scott, who was like, the first thing he's like, I don't know about these 3-pointers. Like, that's fucking stupid. We're going to be long twos and boxing out of the free throw line. And Magic is like, happy days are here again. And you go, what the fuck? And I think that Jeannie Buss is in a really tough spot, because there's a lot of voices, there's a lot of history, there's a lot of stuff, and she's the steward of this whole thing. And you know, it's as passionate as a fan base for any sports franchise I've ever seen in this country. But the LeBron part of it is so weird, because I think LeBron, when he says things, he's saying things for reasons, and sometimes it's powerful stuff, and then sometimes I'm like, I don't know that this is as powerful as you want this to be. Like, I think he was complimenting Oklahoma City and saying how amazing Presti was over All-Star Weekend, because they have a lot of draft picks, and he's thinking, well, if I'm really nice about Presti, maybe they'll use a pick on my kid in a couple of years. Like, I think that's how they operate. Mm-hmm. And so when the Mark Jackson rumor started this weekend, I promise there's a point here, I'm like, there's nobody that knows what's going on in the league that would be like, hey, we got to get Mark Jackson in here and fix this. Because Mark Jackson brings more problems. He just does. I don't give a fuck. I'll argue with anybody about it. The history is long, and there's a reason why the guy hasn't had a coaching gig in a long time. And you're like, why would he be adamant about Mark Jackson getting a job? But Mark is also a clutch client. So I wonder if LeBron says this publicly so that another organization, specifically an owner who'd be impressionable by LeBron, would be like, well, fuck, if LeBron wants Mark Jackson, let's get this guy in there. Because I do think there's this collective LeBron team thing where they plant seeds to try to get their way in a bunch of different areas, not just specific to how it works out for LeBron. So maybe they want Mark Jackson. That would surprise me. But I think that could be part of it too.
That's interesting. I like that.
That's a great theory.
Yeah.
That's much smarter than our theory that LeBron was going to hire his son as head coach.
Yeah.
So that way his son could play himself and they would circumvent the draft that way. I think yours probably is more based in reality.
What about Westbrook as coach, so he can't put himself in?
Well, Westbrook had a quote today that was so funny. He's like, I don't know what Frank Vogel's problem was with me. Like, well, maybe your play? I don't know. He's like, we never really got along. It's like, I could guess why.
So Ryan, put your MVP vote on the line.
Oh,
2 finals. What teams are making it? You have to get one of the 2.
Yes.
If you miss on both of them, you give your vote to Jake.
Yeah, no problem. Phoenix, Milwaukee. I think it's a rematch. Phoenix wins.
I agree.
Okay.
I agree. I think it's one of those years that because your Bob Ryan stories, like I appreciate it and what you're saying because that's why we watch sports. They're unpredictable, but the NBA playoffs are kind of predictable in a lot of ways. Like there are teams
Historically, totally predictable.
Right,
The
there are
most predictable of any of the playoff forms.
right. There are teams that can win it all, and there are teams that just can't. And I think that it feels like there's a few teams in the East, and there's one team in the West. And maybe, Chris Paul will get hurt, so we'll see how they deal with that. But I agree with you. I think it's going to be, we talk our way a million different ways about the Celtics, the Nets, the Heat, which, has there ever been a more disrespected team, 1 seed, than the Heat? Like, no one talks about the Heat.
No, it's hilarious. I mean, I've made fun of myself going, they're going to be in the NBA Finals. And I'm going, I don't know if they score enough.
It's crazy. We did this whole podcast. We haven't even talked about the Heat. They're the 1 seed.
And Bam's one of my favorite players in the league, and he missed a huge chunk, and they still end up being the 1 seed. I mean, all their 3 main guys. I mean, the development that they do, and I wouldn't even call it like on the edge of the roster, at the bottom of the roster. Strus and Vincent and Yurtseven having to play big minutes.
Duncan's not on the bottom of the roster.
No, but when you think about the development of the pieces around it, no, I know Duncan's not at the bottom.
Haslam. You're going to say Udonis Haslam.
Yeah, Haslam has been developed nicely over the last 45 years.
All right, I want to throw something at you guys. I don't know what your time frame here is.
No, whatever.
Okay. You guys were talking Timberwolves celebrations.
Yeah.
Let's hash this out.
All right, let's do it.
Do you have a problem with it? Because why are you telling people not to enjoy sports? That's my question.
It's tough to argue with that, PFT. So there's no line though. What if they had a parade today?
Okay. All right.
Yeah, let's figure out the line.
No, I'd actually be fine with the parade.
Yeah,
because here's the
I'm
thing.
fine with that.
You'd be okay with a parade.
It doesn't hurt me at all.
Here's the other part of it. And someone said, like, oh, if the Nets had celebrated like that, if KD had celebrated like that, you wouldn't have a problem. Yes, you're right. Different circumstances, certain guys who have won a title, you expect them to have a little bit of a different reaction. Being a Minnesota sports fan, it doesn't get talked about. It literally, like, everyone talks about Cleveland, everyone talks about Buffalo, everyone talks about Atlanta. They have lost 18 straight playoff games as the Twins. The Twins have lost 18 straight playoff games. That's an insane stat.
That's ridiculous.
They have not won a playoff. They've been to the playoffs 7 times since 2004, and they have not won a playoff game. That's crazy.
Side topic for your baseball podcast. Should the AL Central be relegated? Is the AL Central even power? If it's power 6 in baseball, I think it's a power 5 in AL Central.
White Sox? This is
think
the year for the White Sox. That's what all my friends who are White Sox fans are telling me.
Move the SEC up to the MLB.
Yes.
And then
replace the AL Central.
Put the Central back in college.
So you got the Twins. The T-Wolves had one of the best players of all time. I don't know where you rank KG, top 30? I don't know. Whatever. They went to a Western Conference final. That's it. Never went past that.
7 first-round exits to start his playoff career. The ultimate winner billed as the ultimate loser.
Yes. The Vikings have Kirk Cousins as their quarterback. They're 0-4 in Super Bowls all time. They also, I think you could easily make the claim they have the greatest team of all time to not make a Super Bowl with that, Randy Moss rookie year team that lost to the Falcons.
15-1 that year.
Like such an insane team.
That team was nuts.
Nuts. And
that was your buddy that made the kick, right, PFT?
Yeah, it was Morton Anderson. And he made it He made it because Gary Anderson, no relation, missed his first field goal.
I know. I remember. I know
entire season.
Yeah.
And then the Wild, who they got sent to Dallas, the state of hockey, lost their hockey team. They come back and they lose every year in like the first or second round. I think context matters where Minnesota, if you're a Minnesota sports fan, and Patrick Beverley, obviously there's more history with the Clippers and everything, enjoy the fuck out of it. What's the point? You're not going to I have changed my opinion as I've gotten a little older where it's like, dude, it's being a sports fan is miserable. It is. You don't win. No one wins. You know what I mean? So you have
most
to
of us lose.
Yeah, we lose all the time.
Right.
And you invest time, money, heart, everything, like emotions. And it's stupid. It's dumb how much we invest in our sports teams. but you have to find joy in other things. So I'm never gonna hate on people for doing that now.
And the people that say act like you've been there before, those are people that for the most part are so spoiled by winning that they don't even get joy out of success anymore. They just get their joy out of telling other people not to be happy about it.
Right.
So like 2018 NHL playoffs, the Capitals won a Stanley Cup game. I think they went up 1-0. I popped champagne, and people were like, "What are you doing? Act like you've been there." I was like, "I've literally never seen a Cap Stanley Cup win in my entire life." Celebrate sports. Sports are supposed to be fun for the fans. If you have not experienced any form of success, celebrate everything that you can get.
The in 15 Cubs, they went up 2-1 on the Cardinals. It was I think maybe it was the game before Schwarber hit that fucking ball that hasn't landed. I remember me and my buddy, we got so fucking drunk that the next game that we were at, which was the clinching game, we were drinking water and coffee in the bleachers because we were so hungover. Like, celebrate the moments. Celebrate the moments. And I don't regret it. It was fucking awesome. It was like a 3 o'clock first pitch. We beat the Cardinals to go up 2-1. It was fucking awesome, and I don't regret it. I regret it a little because I was very, very hungover.
For the record, don't regret the champagne at all.
Yeah.
Popping champagne is always fun to do. No matter, I don't care what the excuse is. More people should pop champagne just for like the small stuff that goes right.
Do you have the saber thing down?
No, I'm more of a Andre guy or a J. Roget. So you just kind of unscrew
mums.
it, you pop it off. It's usually best enjoyed with like a couple drops of mimosas.
So how are you going to counter what we just did? Because that was passionate sports fandom.
You're going to sound like a big grump.
You're going to sound like a real fucking grumpy guy. Go ahead.
I don't even know if I have enough room on my task cam after that, but I'm going to give you a little backstory myself. I remember Hardo, Red Sox fan, Russillo, mid to late 90s, going back even further than that. I remember being like 10 and going to the bleachers and watching the college kids get shit-faced and beat each other up when I was like 10 or 11. And I was like, I cannot wait to do that. I cannot wait to be 19 and get drunk in these bleachers and just see what happens. And then I got to 2021. I hadn't really filled out yet. And I was like, you know what I don't want to do is get my ass kicked by 3 kids from Hyde Park. So we'll just have beers because I don't want to get beat up here.
Yeah.
So I remember, later on bartending. Unfortunately, the bar was owned by like a super passionate Yankees fan. So annoying. He actually used to do like the 27 championships thing to me when we'd argue about non-baseball related subjects.
I love that.
That was tough. It almost got to a fight. He owned the place, and then I was like, "Fuck this! I'm going to fight you, or I quit."
I love that, by the way.
Right.
Sidebar: I love Yankee fans that do the 27 rings. I think that's like the scummiest, greatest thing. Like, why not?
Right. Okay, so when the Sox got to the wild card 98, 99, and they celebrated it, I was like, oh. And then the Yankee guy was like, wild card. Cool. And I was act like you've been there before guy. Cause I'm like, this sucks. Like it's the wild card and you guys are acting like you just won the World Series. Like this is stupid. Fast forward a couple years later, I get my first job in sports, really. I mean, it's sort of second, but really the first one where I was paid, but not really when I think about it. Minor league baseball, I'm around it every single day. I'm around the players every day and seeing what they go through every day, and that their ups and downs were very muted compared to those of the fans. It's the greatest experience I still have ever gotten in my entire career because it kind of set like I started just understanding sports way better just being around a team every single day, the mentality of it. But when things went well and those guys would tear it up randomly, like then I got it. And I'm like, you know what? This is what it should be about. Celebrate those moments. And then you're so stupid when you don't know how a team works. We're like, oh, those guys are getting drunk like over the weekend. And then they've got a playoff game coming up. You're like, dude, half the team's drunk all the time anyway. So it doesn't, especially like back then. I'm sure it's a little bit different now because like, guys like posting deadlift videos on Instagram and shit. But I am with you. But however, I do think there are lines at times. But the Beverly Clippers history, even though they got so sick of him, that was more on him than I think it was necessarily the Clippers being disrespectful as he likes to frame it. There are some Pat Bev things, even though I think every team should have one guy that pushes the edge. If you're a good basketball team, you kind of need one guy that's not afraid of anybody. Mm-hmm. So I respect that part of Beverly, that he's made his way through his career, but there's also moments where I get super annoyed with it. And on top of that, I did enjoy the TNT crew making fun of them.
Okay,
so,
I think that's fine.
That's fine.
I liked all of it.
It's fine to be like watching Shaq, Kenny, and Charles Barkley make fun of these guys for celebrating. That's fun to enjoy too. That's okay to enjoy. I think if a fan base is of the mindset, like I'll give the example of the Dallas Cowboys. For years and years, they had the dynasty in the 90s, and then they would publicly say, with the Dallas Cowboys, we expect to win the Super Bowl every year. You can't go back on that. So people are allowed to enjoy your misery when you lose in the playoffs if you make statements like that. And if you win one playoff game, if you win 2 playoff games, I still don't think you should be allowed to celebrate as hard because you've publicly said things like, we just care about Super Bowls. It's Super Bowl or bust. If you make that declaration, you can never move back in time and go back on that.
Yeah, you're right. Because the guys that win like telling everybody else how they should act all the time, which is part of it, which is part of the winning reward of the whole deal. Your Minnesota rant, though, I can't tell you you're wrong. Yeah, I can't. But I also think it's okay to make fun of losing your shit like that on a playing game and dancing on the scorer's table. But that had more to do with Pat Bev and the Clippers than maybe it was about a franchise getting too hyped about a game that doesn't even count as a playoff game.
I'm cool with them making fun of Pat Beverly. I was defending more Minnesota fans. Like, I think Minnesota fans have every right to lose their shit and go crazy. That crowd was electric. And
right. Like, imagine being in the crowd going, all right, this is cool, but let's temper it down 2 notches.
Yeah. You know what it is?
That's not what people are there for. They're there to get away from everything else and have a release. If that happens for a few hours, go ahead. Who's to say you shouldn't do it?
It's also, I should say, I've also been changed a little by, like, if you have a college team that you root really hard for, especially a team that's not going to contend for a title, you have to have perspective of, like, beating your rival, having a big win. Like, that's when people are like, oh, why do you watch college football? There's only 4 teams that can win it. It's like, I don't know, dude. Because when my team wins 10 games and they go and, like, every 10 years can beat Ohio State, that's fun. I don't know. I don't know what to say. Like, that's fun. I will celebrate that. So I think that's more my perspective.
Yeah, I think we got it.
Yeah. All right, last question. This has been awesome. Roback question. Promo code TAKE for 20% off your first purchase. Q-Zips and hoodies at Roback, RHOBACK.com. Use code TAKE for 20% off your first purchase. All right, we're going to put you on the spot a little bit here. We're going to do a draft.
This is like, is it cake?
Yeah, is it cake? PFT.
That guy's a little too excited in the promo. I don't think it's that. Like, when they have those breakouts for TV shows they're promoting, and the guy's like, this show's insane.
Yeah.
It's just sort of a cake, or it isn't.
I've seen you in those shorts, Ryan. It's always cake.
It's cake. It's cake all the time. All right, so we're going to put you on the spot.
That cake.
Yeah, PFT and I have done some research for this, so you're going to be a little bit behind the 8 ball, but we're going to do a draft, okay? We're going to draft coaches, top 5 coaches that you could consider the best coach in the NBA.
Oh, this is great.
Okay. So you get the premise,
do I have
though.
the first pick?
It's top 5 guys that could be number 1.
Yes. No, I get the premise, and I also realize what you're doing.
Okay. All right. So
Which I seriously think Simmons and I saying there's top 20, top 5 guys discussion. I think that was the whole point. People just love being like, how can you make 5 out of 20? And you're like,
I love
right.
that title.
It was
so
unbelievable.
much.
How can people were like, they get so excited when they think you fucked up.
Right. I loved seeing that title.
And trust me, we fuck up. So there'll be another chance for you to go ahead. All right. I love this. So does this mean I get the first pick?
Yeah, go ahead. You get the first pick.
We're going
snake draft.
So
snake draft.
You go first. I'll go
Snake
second.
draft.
Big Cat third. Then it's going to wrap back around.
Yes.
Oh, shit. So I got to value one.
Yep.
Here,
Wait, can you explain the premise again?
All right. So it's the top 5 guys. So each of us are going to have 5 guys that could be the number 1 guy.
Okay, got it.
5 rounds.
5 rounds.
1 guys.
5 rounds.
Okay.
And
Five rounds.
it's completely different than just picking what we think are the 5 best coaches.
No, it's if you could see
The
in
5
the
guys that
future,
could be the one
Yeah,
guy.
could
Yeah.
be the guy that everyone's like, whoa, that's the guy.
Totally different. Got
Right.
it. What about the past?
No, it's got to be current coaches.
Yeah,
and
but still,
Stan Van Gundy. And Stan Van Gundy's eligible.
Stan Van Gundy's eligible.
Eligible.
Okay. All right. Okay.
All right.
So I get the first pick.
Yep.
Are we ready?
Put this on a graphic board. This would be great.
Yeah, I'm also not afraid of projecting each of you guys your minds. So, all right, I'm gonna take Spoelstra.
He could
Good
be,
pick.
but I don't know. He at some point he is what he is, right?
Yeah.
He's
Okay.
the best coach in the NBA.
Okay.
Okay. Well, whatever.
Well, no, you can't. The listeners are gonna vote, so you just
Okay.
you just poison the water.
He's good.
He's good. He could be a top guy. All right, PFT.
Okay.
Players don't seem to like him.
Yeah.
Okay. For my first pick, this is tough. I'm gonna go Buds. I'm gonna go.
Okay.
I'm gonna go Buds.
All right. I'll go something old, something new. I'll go with Pop, and then wrapping back around, I'll take. He's not really new anymore, but I'll take Kerr.
I think it's interesting that you took Pop because that's specifically a guy that like was the guy.
Well, he could be.
I don't think he's
listen,
gonna
if he
be
goes
the-
back. Don't poison the water.
I don't think he's going to be the
Don't-
guy
don't
again.
poison the
No, we're
water.
just discussing your.
But he
your
could be
choice.
the guy again.
Hey, your
Maybe you're
board's your
afraid of a
board.
little intelligent conversation regarding your choice.
But don't poison the water. Pop could definitely. If he wins another title, you don't think people would be like, "Oh shit, he's
yeah,
the guy
okay.
again."
Yeah, if he does win another title,
Right.
Yes.
So he could be. It's top 5 guys that could be the number
All
one.
right, my
guy.
next guy is Ime,
Okay.
first African American head coach in the history of the Boston Celtics.
Also going to
Which
get
was
whomped.
about, hey, by the way, long overdue.
Yeah,
Long overdue.
Long overdue. Who's going to get whomped in the first round?
He could get whomped in the first round,
Some are predicting he's going to get whomped
but
in the first round.
I'll say this: if the Celtics don't get whomped in the first round, it's because they have the guy coaching them. That's the difference.
All right.
All right.
I can't believe who's still on the board. I'll go Ty Lue, and we'll snake it back around with Nick Nurse.
Ooh, nice.
good picks.
Nice.
Good picks.
Okay.
Can I take
They
Bronny
called Ty
Jr.?
Lue the Belichick of the NBA last night.
They did.
That was something. That was something.
Wow.
What'd you guys think of Glue Lady?
She was,
I'd like to see her use a stronger adhesive next time.
yeah. Maybe
What do you think they
actually
were gonna
wood glue?
do?
She
Like-
should have glued her face to the ground. Like, what does gluing your hand to the ground do? They would imagine how powerful that would have been if she had just like dumped it all over her face and then just stuck that forehead right at the top of the key.
And by the way, did she want people to be eating poison chickens?
Yeah. Or getting bird flu.
That's a low approval rating.
Yeah.
Like no one came to her defense. I thought for sure somebody on Twitter would zag and be like, "Well, let's see exactly what her position is on something,"
Yeah.
and then people would be like, "Oh," and then if it was something that was popular on Twitter, people would be like, "Oh, you know what? That was kind of lame that people made fun of her."
Yeah.
And then none of that happened. She was like, "There's this new Mel Gibson movie." When I was scrolling through Apple TV, it had a 0 on Rotten Tomatoes, and I'm like, "Oh my god, a 0!" I was like, "That's like the lady's approval rating, the Glue Lady."
Yeah,
She's a 0. She was a 0 on Rotten Tomatoes.
I'm opposed to destroying chickens that are infected with bird flu.
Yeah.
That's a very specific. Like, I don't think that's a glue-worthy cause. That's
Yeah.
like maybe a Facebook post.
Yeah, right. She started a Facebook group. She's like, "We haven't had a ton of bites yet."
I know
All
what
right,
I'll do. All right,
PFT,
so
your
my
pick.
next one. This one's easy for me actually. I've heard rumblings in league circles that this guy could be connected to be the next Lakers head coach.
Oh.
In which case, that could mean that he would be the guy as early as next year. That's Quinn Snyder.
Ooh. Okay. I am shocked.
that?
I am shocked that I got this pick because is he not the coach of the year 2 years in a row now, and he's about to win a title if Chris Paul doesn't get hurt? Monty Williams. I mean, he will be the guy if they win the title.
Yeah, I think he's going to win Coach of the Year this year.
He won it last year, right? If I'm
No, I don't think he did.
I don't
he
think
did not.
He did
Who
either.
won last year?
No, Thibodeau won. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Remember, they like. First of all, as soon as you get it, you're going to get fired in less than 20 months.
True.
It's a lock. And Coach of the Year in basketball, more often than not, it's who did something that we didn't expect to have happen. But I think because Monty had the team even better this year, that's what's going to happen.
Okay,
it was tough.
so
It was a brutal vote this year for Coach of the Year.
let
Stupid.
me. You know what?
This draft, this is going to bump some numbers, huh? Fucking this podcast is going to kill it. It's going to start rivaling some of those political ones.
I'm gonna corner the market on the Steves. I actually think Steve Nash does a great job because holy fuck does he have to deal with a lot.
I think that's fair.
I mean,
I won't hear it. If somebody's like, "Oh, Steve Nash can't coach," be like, "Okay, we could talk about rotations,
Right.
We could talk about stuff like that, and that's fine." And like, you watch your guy long enough. I don't care who you are. You're gonna find a problem with your coach. Good fucking luck having the disposition that this guy had the last 2 years, dealing with all the bullshit that he dealt with. I don't want to fucking hear it.
It's
from
actually
anybody.
incredible. It's incredible
Right.
when you like stack up everything he's had to deal with. Steve Nash. Okay, PFT, your fourth pick.
Can I take whoever the next coach of the Kings is going to be?
Sure.
Can I just pencil that one in? I think Kings are about to do big things. They've really built something out there. No, I'm going to go with Nick Nurse.
Already taken.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. Ryan took
shit.
him in the third round.
Good pick, Ryan.
Is there another Nick Nurse though? Maybe in college that you were talking about a guy who doesn't have the job yet.
I'm going to go Nate McMillan.
Did you just project
Okay.
Nick Nurse to the Sacramento Kings?
I
on top of
might
everything else?
have, yeah, if we're reading the tea leaves. I'm going McMillan.
All right, Nate McMillan. a little bit of an underachieving year, but still they went to the Western or Eastern Conference Final last year. That was something. All right,
I'll
Ryan, your last two.
I'll take Taylor Jenkins, Memphis.
Okay.
And I'm going to go James Borrego, Charlotte. That team has no front line. There were versions of that team before when they had nobody, or they had guys that were hurt, and they were competitive. They had numbers a couple of years ago where like, this team isn't good. I thought they had one of the worst rosters in the league. And they compete. He's not afraid to kind of sit guys at times. They're totally overmatched front line wise. And, I know that 43 and 39 doesn't blow everybody's mind, but they lost Hayward twice, I think 2 different times this season. So I think Borrego's a terrific coach. Comes from that pop tree as well. So
okay, nice. Do you think Jim Boylan will get another job?
I hope so, because didn't they call they had a leadership council, and then he used to call timeouts late just to be like, hey, let's get a timeout.
Yeah.
Did I tell you the Mike Singletary story? Did I ever tell you that?
No, tell it to us quick.
There was a guy that I knew that was playing in a preseason game for Singletary when Singletary was the head coach of the Niners. And he's like, I've never ever seen it before at any level of football, but like something happened and it was like a big third down defensively, and Singletary called the timeout and people were like, what? And he waved everybody over and he was like, let's fucking go. He called like a basketball.
He's a pump-up timeout.
Yes.
Right. He called a basketball timeout in an NFL. And I think it was an exhibition game just to be like, all right, let's lock in, boys.
I love it.
Did it work?
The story's way better if it doesn't work.
That's a pretty big part of the story, Ryan, because maybe he's the genius. Maybe that's how we need to be working it. Yeah.
Oh, man. All right, last pick, PFT, and then my last pick, and then we'll let you go, Ryan.
There's a lot of real shitheads out there right now. I'm going to go.
No, there's tons of value still.
Yeah, there's a lot of value.
I'm going to go Michael Malone, not Mike. Michael Malone.
Okay.
Did you guys have him on?
No,
we haven't. Should we?
It sounds so nasty about it.
Yeah. No, never. All right, my last pick. I'll just ride the wave that we were just talking about. I'll go with Chris Finch and the Timberwolves.
That's a great pick.
I feel like I got some value.
Their personality changed with him. People got really mad because he was brought in, because it was a very odd thing that you bring somebody from a different staff in midway through the season. It's not usually what happened, but what people left out of that conversation was that he is really he's held in high regard by a lot of smart basketball people. So when everybody was losing their minds about it, I did get some texts being like, I know you probably don't, but like, this guy's awesome. And think about where Minnesota is now.
Yeah. They're about to raise a banner.
Strong pick.
All right, Ryan, thank you. Everyone go check out the Ryen Russillo podcast. It is the best. We appreciate it, and we'll see you, 10 days, 14 days, whenever the injury does happen. Hammy?
Maybe July after I'll report live from Scottsdale for the parade.
Oh, we will not have you on if the Suns win.
No, I think you guys should expense it, and I'll be a correspondent.
Okay, wow, you're gonna go to a parade? Like Chris Paul's already had a great career. You think that you really need to celebrate just like one title that he wins?
One?
Maybe I just want to go to Scottsdale.
Yeah, good
one.
Point.
Actually, in July, maybe not.
Say hi to Cliff for me.
All right, see ya.
Ryen Russillo is brought to you by Golf Time Supreme. It's golf season. The Masters just wrapped up. Time for you to get out on the links with your crew. Book your next tee time by downloading the exclusive Barstool Game Time app. It's available in the App Store. That's what I'm going to use. I'm going to book a tee time at Augusta. I'm going to go down there with one club, and I'm going to shoot a hard 6 on 18 with my putter, all using the Barstool Golf Time app. Check it out right now. You can earn rewards points when booking a tee time and doing reviews. To write a review, all you have to do is you filter to your course. You click the Submit a Review button on the course home screen after you finish a round. You can download today, start earning rewards points towards exclusive Barstool merch. It is golf season. We're going to be hitting the links, right? We decided that as a podcast.
Yes.
We're going to be me, Big Cat, Hank, Jake probably going to go out there and kick our asses.
Billy can caddy.
Maybe.
I'm down.
We're going to go out on the golf course. We're going to get into golf. That's something that we've resolved to do. Spend some time outside, and we're going to use the Barstool Golf Time app for that. Download today. Start earning your rewards points towards exclusive Barstool merch.
All right, let's do Fyre Fest of the week. By the way, we have a great interview coming Monday with Jake Arrieta. Already taped it. Very excited for that. And also some different sports covered on Wednesday's interviews. We got 2 interviews coming.
Mm-hmm.
A little soccer and tennis. Never had a tennis guest before, but we just wrapped that up and it was fucking awesome. So
Did you guys do talking tennis with the guest?
We did not.
Did not.
It
That would have been inappropriate.
Yes.
Yes.
I was thinking to myself, I don't want to get written up by Hank.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, he wasn't here
that's true.
because he was in the C-suite.
But he knows he's got people in every room.
True.
Hank, your Fyre Fest.
Yeah. We talked about it at length on Tuesday. We talked about
Well, what happened for those of you out there that haven't listened to Wednesday's show yet? Hank, why don't you just run it back?
I just sent a picture to my family, and the internet roasted, my entire being, my face. They memed it, put it all over the place.
Chelsea,
a lot.
chilling with Chels, made a nice painting.
Yeah, it turned into memes, which turned into paintings, which turned into art, which is probably gonna end up in the studio. Maybe not if it gets lost in the mail. Who knows what's gonna happen with that?
I don't want that.
Oh, good.
I don't feel safe with that around.
Yeah, I mean, she's like selling it on eBay. It's crazy.
Good.
But memes, our fucking guy, and our
Hopefully the person
Instagram.
burns it.
Obviously, in my new position, we're tracking data. We're looking at the numbers, always, trying to get a leg up. And we look at our Instagram, and it's like, a normal post, if it's a picture, not a video, it's like, 8 to like 25 is probably like the low and high range of like a post. And memes posted a compilation of the memes of me roasting me, and it got like 45,000 likes.
Damn.
And it's
I mean,
just
that
tough
seems
to
like
see.
a lot.
People love your face, Hank.
Yeah.
A beautiful, beautiful face.
It just
Hank
hurt.
face.
It was hurtful.
Now, the woker amongst us would say that maybe this entire thing was planned to get this sort of social interaction.
But that would imply that I wanted this to happen to me.
Yeah, maybe you're just putting on a big act. Maybe you're super pumped that everybody out there knows that you work out really hard.
I would say that if that were the case, I probably would have taken a more attractive picture.
Well, let me ask you a question, Hank. As your new job as vice president of Barstool Sports, there will be a time where I'm sure they'll look over the numbers being like pre-Hank, post-Hank. Huh. Seems like
Pre-Hank what?
pre-Hank becoming vice president numbers, post-Hank becoming vice president numbers.
This was an
Yeah,
easy
I'm trying
win
to
for you
fucking
right off the
bump
bat.
them up.
Easy win, though. This was a pull out all the stops. Just something to think about. This is what it's like to be Billy all the time.
Is he actually the VP now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like
Well, he's
our boss.
He was VP, and then I think he just named himself chancellor.
And
It's
now
a
he's
tradition
P.
of people
yeah,
doing that.
P and chancellor.
I actually got to figure out if this is real after this.
Yeah.
He's VP.
I stand with Hank. Workout pics.
Yes.
I stand with Hank.
Does that have anything to do with the fact that he's VP now?
No, Billy
no,
actually
no.
did send me a selfie, and I was like, what the fuck is this? He's like, working out. And it kind of made sense where I was like, this doesn't even look like you're working out. It's just a selfie. And then it all clicked. I was like, fuck.
Yeah. Damn.
But I appreciated that, Billy.
I don't think it was that bad.
It really wasn't. I think it was just bad that you sent it to the worst
It's
possible
just one of those things
combination.
where it's like you don't think it's that bad. It's going to be an average performing post, and then it's like no, this like
Oh,
people
popped.
laughing at you is like actually what people want to see the most.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
that's really what it is. It's like I wouldn't have cared. 8 to 25. It's like a high range. Pretty much everything we post is somewhere within that range, and it's like, oh, let's see how this did.
But you knew that. People love our misery. People love us looking terrible. Like, what are the pictures that pop at me when I look at my fattest? When I lose? Like, that's just...
The good news
That's
is
it.
that
People are perverts. They're
it-
sickos.
It's a great meme and a great picture for those of us that know the backstory behind the entire thing. But if you're on the outside looking in, I don't think that meme it doesn't cross over.
It
into
would
the
make you
broader
want to delete
internet.
Instagram. Right. All right.
How soon until we get the first screenshot of somebody using that as their Tinder picture?
Ooh. Get on it, people.
Good luck. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, good luck with that.
What if they
Fishing with
pull-
dynamite, yeah.
All right, PFT, your Fyre Fest.
My Fyre Fest of the week is it's a little bit embarrassing for me. I haven't really been sleeping that well for the last few nights. I slept really well last night actually, but
Nice.
night before that, and then the night before that, and then the night before that, got really bad sleep. In fact, on I think Tuesday night, I didn't even sleep at all, and I just got up in the morning. I was like, "It's 5:00. I'm just awake now. I'm sick of pretending to go to sleep." And the reason why I haven't been sleeping that well is I've somehow found myself addicted to playing a flight simulator on my computer.
Yeah.
I've gotten really into
Yes.
this one particular flight simulator,
Yes.
which is so
Now you're
realistic
talking my language.
and detailed
Yes.
that I have to go through the fucking step-by-step tutorial and checklist to figure out how to ignite my engines, wait till they're ready,
Yes.
put my flaps in takeoff position, close the canopy, idle for a second, go down the runway, taxi, take off once I reach 250 kilometers per hour, communicate with my wingman effectively, and it's a lot,
Dude.
And I don't particularly understand why I'm addicted to it.
No.
I used to play a couple of flight sim games back when I was 10.
No. It's not a lot. It's
I
the
bought
right
a
amount.
I bought a jojoystick.
Yes.
I've got a joystick and I've got a throttle.
Everything
that I
you
put
just
on my
said,
desk.
I have, and I do it on my phone too. I love flight simulators.
It's awesome.
They're incredible. It's something about and you don't even do cool things. You just fucking take planes off and land them.
Okay, so I am doing some cool stuff.
Oh, you are? I like
Yeah.
to just do the shuttle from New York to DC.
Yeah, those are cool too. I like those where it's you can you essentially what the internet has become now with all the different simulator games that you can play is you just pretend to do somebody else's job for a couple hours. There's a tractor simulator, there's a train simulator, which that's actually awesome.
Our
too.
guy Zod does the actual full train simulator that's real time, not sped up.
Yeah.
He will actually do 4 hours New York to DC Amtrak.
Yeah, he's doing somebody else's job for it.
Uh-huh.
But I'm doing this flight sim right now. I'm in the middle of a campaign in Ukraine where I'm flying Su-25s and I'm providing ground support to my troops. I'm
Dude,
taking
it's
out
awesome.
SAM sites, AAA sites, the whole 9 yards. And it is it's the weirdest thing that I've ever found myself addicted to. But I've been up until 3:30 in the morning. I'm ignoring when you guys are texting me late at night after we got done recording part of my take. I'm not responding to them, not because I'm ignoring them, but because my eyes are glued to my computer.
Yes.
And I'm playing flight simulators
Dude,
for 5 hours at a time.
Do not be ashamed whatsoever. Flight simulators are cool. They just are cool.
I just
do
need
it
to
too.
dial it back a little bit so that I can sleep, because then after I'm done,
You will.
After I'm done playing, I try to fall asleep, and all I'm thinking about is my heads-up display, and I'm like, that bandit really got my six when I entered into the vertical scissors fight with him.
Dude.
Should have done a split S.
I think you're similar to me in that you get into it and you'll be addicted for 2 or 3 weeks, and then you'll probably find a way to wean yourself off. That's how I've always done. I'm not in it right now. I had one probably 2 months ago where I found the sickest game on my phone that was full flight simulator, and I played it nonstop.
It's awesome, and it's gotten to the point. I don't know if I'm even able to wean myself off it yet.
No, you have to go hard. You have to go harder.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
so I got the joystick, I got the throttle. I don't like how the throttle feels, so I upgraded. I just purchased a new throttle.
Yeah.
And then I spent about $500 getting an F-22 in my arsenal that I can then mod with all the different missiles and skins.
It's awesome.
It's become an issue for me.
No, lean into it, because that's what I'm saying. Whenever I get addicted to one of these video games, I just have to go full hard as hard as I can go for 2 to 3 weeks, and then I'll be wake up one day and just be all right, I'm good.
I'm done with that. It's like that movie Adaptation, where he's I got so seriously in love with fish for a while, then one day I was just I'm never setting foot in the ocean ever again. Fuck fish.
Yeah.
I need to reach a point where I'm fuck planes.
That's every video game I've ever had. I just go so crazy about it, and then I just stop.
I threw my joystick when I got shot down. I ejected like a little bitch instead of going down with the ship, and I threw my joystick because this bogey got me.
Yeah.
Billy,
What do you say, Bill?
So you're not doing a commercial flight simulator. You're doing a combat flight simulator.
Combat flight. Well, it's a mix of both, because in order to learn how to actually get airborne and fly any of these airplanes, that probably took a solid 12 hours of playing the game, where I'm just learning startup procedures and navigation modes and figuring out how to hit my waypoints and activate my RWR and all this shit. You understand, as a person in the military, you have to
You're not a jag.
you have to get your baseline before you can actually go missiles hot.
So you're bombing Russian convoys.
Yeah.
Oh, Billy's in.
Rockets. I've been using
Billy's
rockets,
in.
A-10s.
Billy's
A-10
wondering
Tankos.
if he can be on the Russian side.
So you bought a joystick that was for a commercial flight simulator, but somehow you can release bombs with it.
No, I knew eventually I would want to fire weapons with my game.
Don't be ashamed.
So do you flip open the and have the red button?
That's the next level. I do have a red button on there, but it's a joystick with 6 buttons on it. It's pretty serious stuff. In
pretty
fact,
cool.
I looked into getting a joystick, a complete rig that also included like a chair. Like you can buy a cockpit chair.
I looked
and sit in that in front of your computer.
I got addicted to race car F1. I don't know, maybe it was early in the summer, last summer, and I got like a big rig, and I stopped at the chair. I was like, no, I can't do this. I can't get a chair that makes it look like. I just can't do that.
If you buy like a pilot's chair, like you
need a room.
At that
you need
point,
an extra room.
Yes, because at that point you have an airplane chair.
Right.
In your living room.
Right. You need an extra
room.
And
then
then
company comes over and you're
like,
just
what the fuck?
exposed.
Yes.
Yeah. You realize what a weirdo you are. But
yes.
Maybe I need to find better times to do it because it's impacted my sleeping schedule to the point where some nights I'm just not sleeping at all.
I think you just got to keep going into it.
I'm just flying over
all the
over the Black Sea.
Yeah, as hard as you can. All right, my Fyre Fest, pre-Fyre Fest. I would love AWL's help. Who listen to the show who have kids? Potty training this weekend, so I'm fucked. Yeah.
Good luck.
Yep. Thanks. Anyone who wants to help me out, I'm just not going to leave my apartment all weekend. So.
Are you going to teach your son to pee in the sink?
Eventually we'll get there for sure. But yeah, I've been reading about how to do it properly, and it sounds like I'm in for a hell of a weekend. So these are little things you kind of take for granted before you have kids. You're like, oh yeah, what? Potty training? That's like you just tell them pee in the toilet. It doesn't work like that.
No, they don't get it. I was telling Big Cat about this the other day because he was starting to talk about potty training. But the one family that I've been around that has been in the course of potty training chose to do it the weirdest fucking way possible, which is you just take all your clothes off your kids.
Yeah, there's a
and
method.
then they just go around and they're free to piss and shit anywhere they want.
Yeah,
but they have to clean it up. That to me, that's most effective.
Fucked up.
That's the most effective form of birth control I've ever been around. Is seeing that it's like,
well, that's
I don't want that in my house.
That's also a very effective way to get your kid to have like pretty big mental issues where it's like shaming them. I think the whole point, and I've read a book about it, no big deal. It wasn't a full book. It was like 20 pages. But I read about it, and it's like you got to be very nice about it, treats, all these things, because you don't, and it makes sense. Mm-hmm. I think that's how serial killers get born. It's like if you shame them about peeing their pants, they then will just be like, all right, I'm going to go kill some people.
The only experience I have is with Leroy. And he was very easy. Dogs are easy to potty train.
Yeah, I think that's a little
because
different.
you can shame a dog
Correct.
into pooping outside.
And also dogs, if you give them like any type of meat or treat, it's good.
I actually want to hear Billy's take. I'm sure that you have ideas about how to potty train a child.
Honestly, I feel like there's a huge parallel between raising kids and keeping upper primates as pets.
Yep.
I feel like there's a lot of the same strategies for a while till the brain development kicks in.
Okay.
I don't know, just a thought.
So how would you
That
train
wasn't
an upper primate?
I don't know.
They don't have to go in toilets.
Right.
Have you thought about bananas? Using bananas as
Yeah. I feel like children are very analogous to monkeys.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, but the monkeys don't have to go in toilets.
Right, but you could just sort of take care of them like you would a monkey.
Yeah,
but the whole
I think once you have to potty train them, that's when they
like I can put a tree in my house and be like, hey, just climb up on this tree and shit on everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or you can crap in your hand and then throw it at me when you're mad.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that works.
I mean, I'm
gonna be fine. It's just if people have tips, because I know there's a lot of people out there who do have kids, so I'm sure someone's like, hey, there's the tip. It's very similar to gambling advice. If you give me a tip, I will most likely take it. Like you just say it to me and I'm like, all right, that's how I'm going to do it. But yeah, this will be a fun weekend for your boy. Billy, I'm going to miss that party, by the way, on Saturday. Unless you want my son coming and just shitting on everything.
That's fine.
Oh, okay, cool. I'll be there.
Yeah, that's chill. So I was out in Indio, California, out at Dimitri Bivol's camp. He is Canelo Alvarez's next opponent. They're fighting on May 7th in Las Vegas. You can watch it on DAZN. It's going to be an amazing fight. I was really up close and personal with Dimitri Bivol throughout. Basically, I did 2 days of his day-to-day routine and training. It was really awesome, a great experience. There's going to be a video coming out soon. Check out some of the other videos some other Barstool personalities have been doing, such as Large, Roan, and Nick. They've been going with other fighters as well. But I actually was in the ring with him doing drills, working on what he was working on, just honestly, it was really awesome from that respect. But now my body is in shambles because I am not a professional fighter.
You're
who's
not
been
allowed to do
training.
this. I told you you're banned.
I
from
know,
doing
but I
this.
literally, but
You're 22.
I know, but not only am I sore, but I got the shit beat out of me in a couple drills.
Good.
And let me tell you, like, Bival's fighting at 175. He's fighting Canelo. And when I was training, like in my training camp, I was fighting guys who were like sparring guys who were like 270 pounds. And when they like really connected on a big right, like it hurt, but like they were 100 pounds heavier than Bival, and every single one of Bival's punches, 100 pounds less, was exactly like those guys' big rights.
He's a good boxer.
He's a professional, like a world champion. Like, it was just crazy to just experience the difference up close because it was insane.
Did you ask him for tax advice about how to handle your winning paychecks?
We just started talking about work visas at one point, but he I don't know where his taxes.
The videos would be great, but again, you're not allowed to
I
talk
know.
about
Well,
being
can I
sore.
talk about being sore for being punched?
No, because like,
I'm going to give him a pass on this one.
but that was your job, and you did a good job.
It was insane. But anyway, went through all that. I'm sore as hell right now. I ate a burrito before one of the training sessions and got hit in the solar plexus, and it was almost.
Oh, that's fucked.
That was almost
That is
burrito
fucked. If you've never been
everywhere.
hitting that, that's the worst.
Did
Yeah.
you do 3 F45 classes this week?
No,
Ooh.
no,
And
I
take
did not.
selfies?
Good question.
No.
Yeah, get in line, bro.
But like doing the runs, like honestly, if it wasn't for like actually having to be good at boxing, like a boxer's lifestyle is like awesome. All you do is like grill and eat and just
Put
work
the
out.
Punched in the head.
Right.
That's like, but that's fun if you enjoy it. But like, it's just being out in Indio, California.
Right.
It's where Coachella is. It's like a really awesome place in the world.
Do you think at the end of the training he respected you as a man?
I think so. I hope. I think I don't know what his opinions are on American in general, but I think
Yeah, no, that it would have been
Yeah.
an immediate yes.
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
There was a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
look, but anyway, then to make matters worse, so I went through all that. Then my flight got delayed last night, and basically I ended up getting in at 7 a.m. and then getting out. Like didn't sleep all night because of the flight. Then finally got home, and then I tried to fall asleep for a couple hours before I came in today. I fell asleep, but I immediately got freaking sleep paralysis.
Oh,
Dude, and
that's
that was
the
scary
worst.
as fuck. There was this
I've
like
had that.
weird
It is
dark,
so bad.
yeah, some weird dark figure was just like I was trying to like move and like punch and stuff, but this
Yep.
dark figure was just sitting on my chest.
Was it
And-
Whitey?
No, because it was, but it was anyway.
Was it
and
Miley Cyrus?
I
Hank?
wish no, but it just kept, and also it was like punching me too, but I was probably just sore. But it was the worst thing ever.
You
It
have
was so
PTSD.
scary. It was
You
so
really are
scary.
a troop.
No, I think it had something to do with just like being extra tired and being car sick.
Yeah, no, sleep paralysis is
it
very.
was
You might have sleep
worst.
apnea too. That's a common side
I
effect of sleep apnea.
I
Really?
yeah, you're probably gonna have to start wearing a mask.
On Tuesday night we went till like 2. Like I didn't fall asleep till like 2 a.m. And whenever I don't get like that amount of sleep, I sleepwalk like badly.
Oh really?
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I was doing that on
It was
Tuesday.
the worst. Probably my deviated septums give me
Yeah.
sleep apnea.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Jake.
Yeah.
I'm excited for those videos. Everyone check it out. We'll remind everyone when they do come out. Jake.
Yeah, I am in a little bit of a pickle on how to feel about the John Sterling situation.
Oh.
So on one hand, for those
I
who
mean,
didn't see,
yeah, go ahead, explain it. It was hilarious.
hilarious. Stanton hit a bomb, but not deep enough, and he called it
Stantonian.
Yeah.
Stantonian blast home run, but it was caught, is what the call was. As high as far as gone, but caught. On one end, hilarious, like just a funny clip.
Yeah.
On the other end, Yankee fan, it's not exactly, not that he needs a demo reel or a resume, not exactly a clip you would put on a hypothetical resume.
Right.
Some people saying he needs to hang him up.
I'd say that might
So
be.
it's like, it's a tough spot to be in.
That's like
Is
one
it-
of those
is it- is
stadiums.
it like-
Anytime there's a big pop fly and
Yeah.
you say it's high, it's far, it's gone, you're probably going to be right.
Well, it's left though. It was.
Ah.
It's yeah. It was bad.
And it
Jake.
wasn't the first time it's happened. It happened in the
was
playoffs.
bad. Yeah.
The playoffs, I think the camera angle was,
Yeah. It was bad. What
what did you say?
It was bad.
It was bad.
It was bad. There's no defending.
It might
That's
be
why
time.
it's a tough spot. That's why it's a
Hang 'em
Fyre
up.
Fest. It's
Hang 'em
like,
up.
His eyes are shot.
Are you saying Fire Sterling?
never. Just saying. That's a mistake where if anyone
Take
else
him out back.
if
shoot him
anyone
in the
else
head.
made that mistake, they would probably actually like get talked to about it.
Yeah, but I mean, the fact that you're bringing it up right, it sounds like he embarrassed the entire profession.
And the
No.
organization.
No, it's a mistake.
The Yankee way. Take his pinstripe.
Take away one pinstripe.
Yeah, so
I'm sorry, Jake. That's terrible.
it's a tough spot. He's a nice guy though. I met him once.
No way that you think he's a nice guy.
That's
But
what I said.
I'm waiting for the day where you're like, that guy's a real piece of shit. All right, numbers.
4.
Jake Arrieta Monday. Win
25.
all of the NBA playoffs.
I mean, it obviously. Never mind. I was going to ask something about who hit the shot. It was Stanton
Yeah.
that hit it. It
What's
just would be
Stanton's
great.
number?
27.
27.
It would be great if it was a deep drive to left.
Yeah, 27. My number of rings, and Stanton. Everyone got their numbers.
23 times 3.
69.
PFT, what's
Got
yours?
it. I was doing
25.
math. 74.
Three. The
Babe Ruth.
Bambino. Yes,
He hit a few bombs.
he did. None of them fucked up by John Sterling.
Love you guys.
You can train falcons to hunt down drones on your property.